Yes, guys, welcome back to the Spurs-related podcast. It's one of the biggest days of the year in the football calendar. It is transfer deadline day, everyone's favourite, as always. Who doesn't love transfer deadline day? Daniel Levy probably loves it more than most. But yeah, me and James, when he joins me in just under 2 hours' time, are going to try and bring you a detailed sort of dissection of what's going on, as well as our live reactions to the bits that do hopefully happen. We obviously got the Here We Go earlier on for Randal Kolo Muani, which I will get into. There's been rumours for a number of different players in, players going out, lots and lots of stories to cover. So if we get some of you guys in here, and I will start bringing up some comments, let me know if you're in. And yeah, we will start bringing you up. Let's have a look. Are we getting a winger? I hope so. We will talk about some of that in a little while time. AFK Grouty. Let me just message James very quickly. Just want to say something very quickly, and then we will. I'll have to wait for a couple more comments. Who else we got in here? Nova's in here. Welcome in. The winger and a centre back. Yes, I do agree. There's obviously a lot of names being thrown about, so we will get into some of them very, very shortly. What do you think about the reporter Matt Law, who said that Spurs would not have any incomers? I mean, I think it's probably proved wrong already with the look of Randal Kolo Muani looking like he's coming in. So yeah, we need a winger and a centre back. Lookman and a centre back. Lookman, a name that me and James have spoken about a lot on here. Very worried that we aren't going to get anybody else. I'm looking already, nearly 200 of you in here already, which is unbelievable. We've been going for 2 minutes. A lot of you over on X or Twitter. If you are, fantastic. Get involved in the chat. But it would be amazing if you came over here. Come over here, say hello in the chat. Tell me you've come from Twitter. And if any of you are in here from the little TikTok I posted a minute ago telling you that we were live, then let me know too, and I will bring your comment up. We're getting no more in, unfortunately. I think we will. I think we've got to be positive. I think he should be sacked. I imagine you're talking about Matt Law, but I'm not too sure. Welcome, Moani. Yes, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed that is going to happen, and that is a done deal. Right. Let's see. The numbers are growing. Over 200 of you in here, which is insane. I've been on a couple of podcasts today. I've done the Last Word on Spurs in 2 little stints for their deadline day stream, but we are here. I'm here for the next hour and a half, pretty much, on my own. I think we might possibly have a guest, but not yet. I'm here. James will join us, and then when James is here, we will go over a bit more. So, who are we going to get though? I really want Leao or Lookman, but don't think it's going to happen. My hunch is that Lookman is one that, if it comes to 6 o'clock and they haven't done anything, they might just go and get Lookman. I think Lookman's quite an easy deal to do. I saw Paul O'Keefe, I think, reported that. So certainly doable from Tottenham. Yes, Matt Law. We're not getting any more in, unfortunately. Got to hope. We've got to hope. Why is the numbers of you are growing? The support recently has been immense for both James, myself. It's been fantastic. So whatever platform you're watching on, let me know. Let me know if you're here. There's 260 odd of you in the house, which is incredible. So yeah, make sure if you're on YouTube, if you're not on YouTube, come over to YouTube. Be much appreciated. If you are on YouTube, then hit like, subscribe, the notification bell, so you never, so I should say, miss an upload or a podcast or a stream or whatever from me and James. You can also find these podcasts on Spotify as well. And yeah, if you want to support the channel financially, which is obviously not an obligation, that would be massively appreciated, then you can through the form of both super chats, where you can skip the queue, have your message brought up, and create a talking point for myself, James, whoever else is a guest on this panel. And that's in any stream, as always. And memberships, you can pay to become a member, which would mean that you can join whenever you choose. You can come on and be on the panel with us and kind of have a chat, give your views, give your thoughts, and tell us what you think should happen with Tottenham. Let's bring a couple more comments up before we get into the main nitty-gritty transfer news. Why is no one going for Lookman? I don't know. It's the same question that I'm asking myself, to be honest. I don't know if there's a problem that we don't really know about, but I'm a bit confused why we are not. We'll end up going and getting a random winger for a random league. Quite possibly. I saw Malik Fofana at Lyon his name's been thrown around this evening a little bit. I'm sure there'll be a couple of those over the next sort of few hours. Random names that are going to get picked up and thrown about. If not Lookman, would you prefer no player? No, I think we need someone. Lookman, I like the idea of. I'd still want to get an elite one, like a Rodgers would be amazing. Canan Yildiz would be fantastic, but a lot of these guys probably unlikely this late in the window. But listen, a man can dream, right? What's football without dreaming? Lookman signing, true or false? As of right now, that's false. But hopefully we get him through the door. Abdulrahman's in here, as always. Hello, he says, and we need a left winger. Very, very true. Am I happy with the window so far? I would say I'm very content with the players that have come in. I think the narrative we've probably been fed about how the window's happened has not been ideal. Like as in the Eze gives White stories and all this. That looks bad and on decline. But I think the players we brought in have been fantastic. And I think Kolo Muani kind of, I can't think of the word, adds to that, if you will. I've forgotten how to speak. I like Malik Fofana, actually a baller. He's a little bit too much like Telwyn Odobert though at the moment for me, so I'm a little bit unsure. Rodgers plays on the left. He can do. I know you've been in here before, Benny. We've spoken about the San Diego profile picture. Very, very nice. Right, how many? God, we've got a lot of you in the house now. Nearly 400 of you in the house after 8 minutes. Just looking here, there's a little bit of breaking news, which we will bring up for you before we get into any of the sort of a little bit of the older news. We'll talk about some of the fresh stuff that's happened in the last couple of minutes, because as always, there's business constantly going on, and that is how Tottenham roll on deadline day. Now, according to Luca Bendoni, who is a journalist from Italy, he works for Team Damasio. He is a Sky journalist. Let me get this up just quickly as well. This wouldn't surprise me. This on loan would not surprise me whatsoever. There was a poll now in the chat as well. Are you happy or not with Kolo Muani? Let me know what you think. Is Muani better than Solanke and Richie? I think he's a very different option. A very, very different option. I think he's the complete opposite and something we don't really have. He's explosive, pace, power. So certainly one to look out for. We need one more class signing. I'm not sure Muani is benchwarmer for PSG. Maybe he's got something to prove. Maybe he has something to prove. He wants to come here and show that he can be more than that, which I'm hoping. Welcome in here. Will we add more signings? I hope so. The window is no more than 7 at most, falling short again by 2 players. I do agree that we are falling a little bit short. Really, actually, good sign, Rodrigo. I was only joking. I'm not saying it's been reported, but it wouldn't shock me. I mean, he's still there. He hasn't gone anywhere. If a loan deal late on tonight would not surprise me. But let's get this up. Let's make sure that is okay to be shared. It is good stuff. This is the news that Crystal Palace are in talks for a loan with an option to buy for Tottenham winger Manor Solomon. Porto are also keen on the player, and according to Sky Sports, they're looking to finalise it now. Crystal Palace. So it seems to be gaining some sort of traction, which is good. We're obviously looking to probably get rid of Manor Solomon. Hopefully that fee at the end of it would be a decent one, maybe 15 to 20 million quid, you could argue. So yeah, that is one to keep an eye on for the next sort of couple of hours. Muani's finish is disgusting to watch. I'm hoping that's disgustingly good and not disgustingly bad. Let's I will await the response on that one. I don't know why Alonso doesn't play him. He's a baller. Also, what happened to your guys' Instagram account? Good question. First of all, he is a baller. He's brilliant, and I would argue he's possibly better than Vinicius Junior. Don't attack me for that, but that's my humble opinion. I think he's actually a better footballer. Instagram account. Instagram have been playing up. The account we lost. We have appealed it. We're hoping we get it back. For now, Spurs-related media is the place to be on Instagram. So go and follow that if you haven't already. But we're hoping the main one will be back hopefully soon. But we don't know a time frame just yet. What winger do you end up? What? I can't read again. What winger do you see us end up buying? I don't know. I wish I knew. Yeah, it's not a great answer. I'm sorry, Donato. It's not a fantastic answer. My hunch is that they're still going to try and do something big and something that we all go, wow, that's unbelievable. Rafa van der Vaart on deadline day type of deal. But but then if that doesn't happen, then I think Lookman will be the one they'll go for. Bad. That's a concern. But hopefully Thomas Frank, he has, he's very good at helping players develop. So hopefully he will help him develop. 450 of you in here now. The YouTube number's growing as well, which is lovely. If you are on X, Twitter, then please come over. It'd be amazing. Obviously, your support over there is much loved as well. But yeah, please come over. Come and say hello. Where is James? James will be here. Don't worry. James will be here. Yeah, he will be here. He will be here. I think it's about 5:15. So an hour and a half from now, I'll be joined by my usual partner in crime. But yeah, as I say, numbers growing unbelievably well. Support recently is absolutely loved, much appreciated. None of it goes under the radar. So myself, James, very, very grateful for the streams of late, the videos of late, everything of late has been absolutely amazing. So yeah, as I say, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you never miss any upload or anything like that. And yeah, and please, always, as I say, it's not, you're not obliged to, but if you want to contribute financially, then super chats and memberships are available. Memberships allow you to come on here, chat with us. Super chats allow your message to be brought to the front and allow us to make a talking point out of it. Are we even focusing on Sonny player now? Like all the links to any player are dead now. To be honest, Spurs tend to work, I think, in relative silence anyway. I think most will be quiet. I've sort of got Twitter up. I'm scrolling at the same time, so to make sure that I don't miss anything and I get everything to you straight away. But yes, I'm hoping we get some more business done. Let's have a look. Rodrigo, underrated player. If we sign him, I'll get mad. Are you a Madrid fan, or am I reading that very wrong? Rodrigo is better than Vinicius Junior. I agree. Yeah, I'm surprised they want to get rid of him. And then this was put in as well by I'm not sure who's in charge of that account. My money is probably James, but he said underneath our Instagram account got taken down for no proper reason. Go and follow the link underneath. Spurs-related media, as I say, to keep up with us on Instagram. Whereas Muani in the left wing striker pecking order. I think he's going to be pretty near the top. I mean, I think it's a really good option. Yes, it is, James. I think it's going to be a really good option. Someone that we can hopefully rely on to score some goals and be impactful at the top level, which is something that he has been able to do. James will be here soon. Don't worry. Jack, welcome in, mate. Cheers, I hope you're well. Likewise, mate. What is the window out of 10 is Muani. If Muani is the final signing, if he's the final signing, I'm like a 7.5, an 8. I think it's been a good window in terms of the individuals. As I say, the narrative around it has been very negative, and I get that, and I still think we're probably a little bit off. If they get a centre back and a left winger, we're looking at a very, very good window. But there is obviously still a way to go for that to happen. We are 3 hours and 12 minutes away from the deadline, and let's get some of these up. So let's get some of the actual bits of news from the day up that we can have a bit of a talking point about. One's in the chat. I want to get you guys' opinion on this now. One's in the chat if you are very happy with Kolo Muani. 2, if you don't really want him, if you aren't convinced, let me know. Yeah, sorry, James putting there. Jack, if you want to come on, more than welcome. More than welcome. Agree. If we avoided the Morgan Gibbs White and Eze embarrassment, I think people saying it's a 9 out of 10. Totally agreed. Totally agreed. The narrative around it has probably made it much more negative than maybe it actually is. I think the individual players we brought in have been fantastic. Let's go. 1. 2 from Abdul Rahman. After seeing the windows closing, that is when they're busy in transfer. They would have done this for a long time. For that, Kolo Muani was swept to the left wing. Johnson just not good enough to start scoring. Doesn't offer much. Tell underdeveloped. Oddwork leaves much to be desired as well. I do agree. I do agree that those two are a little bit too young and maybe a little bit undeveloped. That we aren't sure yet. The jury's out. Johnson offers things that a lot of the other attackers in that team don't. In that he's a consistent source of goals, but the general performances don't match the likes of the others. I'm hoping Kolo Muani can do both. I'm hoping they get a left winger as well. Jack says 1. His mate Pavard. Here we go to Marseille. So that's another one that has been linked to Spurs, but now is not going to happen. 500 of you in here after the first 17 minutes, which is quite incredible. A lot of you on X and Twitter, as I say. Come over if you can. Come and tell me you're here, or get in the chat. I'm pretty sure you can get in the chat and say hello. If you're here from my TikTok, which I posted a little while ago, come over, say hello, tell me you're here. From that, right, let's keep going. So Kolo Muani, obviously, here we go. This was the first tweet from Fabrizio Romano. So he says, does he say in this one? Not okay. There's an option to buy. He said, and then he came back about an hour later and said that's actually not the case. So it's a straight loan, £5 million fee, and it's a very good deal, right? We're talking about a guy who 2 years ago went for £90 million or 90 million euros, whatever the fee was, to PSG from Frankfurt. And now we're getting him on a €5 million loan. I mean, it's an unbelievable signing in terms of the finances behind it. He's a player that probably hasn't hit the heights that people thought he would, but there's certainly like quite a high ceiling there. There's certainly talent there and raw potential there. And what he has is talent that, and wants to be able to show off that he has that talent, right? He wants to prove that he can be effective in, at the top level. And so I think it's a really, really good signing. He obviously can't play, I imagine, against PSG in the Champions League. Other than that, he will be available, providing he doesn't get injured, to play whenever, which is good. He's going to be a good signing. As I say, he's played in the World Cup final, played in the Champions League, played in the French League, the Bundesliga, the Italian League. So he's well-versed in European football. He's well-versed in sort of domestic football. The Premier League is obviously a little bit different, but we will see. Johnson, good enough to go into the season on that left side. Love what he's done for us, but not good enough to be a starter. He's certainly a good impact player. I think he offers things that others don't. But for certain games, I think he works. I think it's PSG or Muani who didn't want the buy option. Yeah, I think that is the case. It was like he doesn't really want to be at N17, and we were the only option left in the Champions League. Quite possibly. I hope not. But then listen, I thought the same, and I know Tell has maybe not been as the level we thought he could be. But I thought the same about Tell, and it turns out he ended up pretty loving it. So, yeah. Listen, it's. Let me just numbers very, very good. Make sure you are hitting like if you're on YouTube as well. That is much appreciated. The likes recently have been unbelievable. I think I want to say we hit 400 yesterday, which is quite incredible. Sammy Mockbell at the BBC reported about an hour or so ago that Tottenham are looking to sign a centre-back before the deadline as well. Really putting a lot of these Matt Law rumours to bed this morning. Obviously, Kolo Muani has come in as a result of Solanke. Tom Ornut, I think he's of the Times, states that it's not going to be a lengthy period. But then there have also been many articles today that have said he might be 2 to 3 months. If that's the case, Richarlison is obviously someone that has an injury record that isn't ideal, and one that maybe can't be relied on. So we need to hope that he's going to be okay, but I think it's certainly a good thing that we've got Kolo Muani in. Just reading here, one source tells Sky Sports News that they are very confident that a deal for Manor Solomon to go through to Crystal Palace is close. Paul O'Keefe on Tottenham signing a left winger today. I don't think so, he says. Now, I mean, we will see. We will see. I'm hoping that is wrong, because I think a winger should be priority. But yeah, so yeah, let's hope. Do you think? Give me a 1 in the chat if you think a winger is priority. Give me a 2 in the chat if you think we don't need a winger, but a defender is a priority for the last 3 hours and 6 minutes of the 25-26 summer window. Let me know what you think. Tottenham are not ruling out anything, including a left winger and a centre back. Daniel Levy and Paratici are on it. It's Paul O'Keefe. I'll have to check that. But Paul O'Keefe a minute ago said he thinks it's highly unlikely. Let's have a look. 1 second. We should keep someone unless we sign a winger. I think ultimately Thomas Frank's not going to use him, and you can get 15 million or something. I think they should probably look to cash in. 1. Yeah. Good. 1. So we need Lookman because he plays a 9 as well in case of Richie. Wagwan Donna Cullen. And a 1 from David Pincus, who's in here very often. Yes, good. Right. As I say, numbers are unbelievable right now. Nearly 600 of you watching currently live, which is amazing. Bryan Gil is on his way to Girona. The fee I read after this is about £8.56 million. Not euros, pounds is the key thing there. And it could rise, which is about 10 million euros. And it could rise a little bit with add-ons. That's the fee I read. I've seen a few different fees, but that's the latest one I've seen, I think, from Sky Sports. So Bryan Gil to Girona. I mean, listen, I was on pod earlier on, and I was on last pod of Spurs earlier on, and I said on there that I think he was probably going to have his contract terminated because, you know, as much I don't agree with that business plan, or from a business point of view, that was probably the only way of getting rid of him because the demand was going to be so low, given he come off the back of a bad injury and all this. But the fact that they are willing to pay that is fantastic. He now joins part of, obviously, the Manchester City group. So maybe we'll see him playing under Pep in no time. With 3 hours, it will be hard. I do agree. Welcome in 1 as well. Does the Muani signing signal the Solanke injury is worse than we thought? I think so, which is not ideal. So I'm a big Dominic Solanke fan, and I think he offers a lot that Richarlison and Kolo Muani don't offer. James has said 10 mil decent. He's not good enough. Gay to Liverpool done. Surprised he didn't take us 70 million off in January. I am as well. And AFK Grouty has very generously sent in a super chat, which is very nice of you, mate. Thank you very much. It is much appreciated. All those super chats and things go to helping me and James improve what we got going on, right? Setups, mics, cameras, the lot, to help us produce better and more content for you guys. James, yeah, thank you very much, AFK. Very, very generous. You can obviously use super chats to create talking point. Get your message read out. But thank you very much, mate. That is very, very nice of you. hopefully, like yourself, Spurs will stick their hand into their pockets and go out and spend some money this afternoon. Crystal Palace, we've obviously spoken about Manor Solomon. This is a little bit more advanced than it was when I put this up. Sorry, one second. I'm going to shut my window because it started raining, and I don't want to shut the other one as well. Give me a moment. Sorry. There we go. Right. Don't want to get rained on in my house. Crystal Palace obviously registered an interest in Manor Solomon. We spoke about this already very briefly at the start. It's obviously good news. He had a good season with Leeds last year. I want to have a look one second. I want to see what his actual numbers were for Leeds last year. I'm pretty sure he got something like 18 contributions in the league or something, which is very good numbers, very, very good numbers for the Championship, which is not an easy league. 1 second. So last season, more than that. So last season in the Championship, he started. I'll share my screen so you can see it now. 1 second. Manor Solomon last season for Leeds in the Championship got 10 league goals, 12 assists in 30 starts, which is a decent amount of starts actually, considering his injury record. So yeah, let me know. 1 in the chat if you think Manor Solomon should be sold. Do you think he should go? Is it time to cash in? 2 in the chat if you think he's still got a career at Tottenham. Do you think, looking at those numbers and looking at, this sort of, I mean, if he was a little bit younger, maybe if he was an 18-year-old and he'd done this, maybe he'd be destined for great things at Tottenham. But being a little bit older, maybe we're a little bit, don't really like it. So let me know. We've got a 2 in there already. I think I have to agree, by the way. I think Manor Solomon, it's probably time that he should go. 600 of you in here right now, which is absolutely immense. If you're on Twitter, thank you very much. Please come over to YouTube. It'd be fantastic. If you're on YouTube, of course, then let me know in the chat and get involved in little engagement pieces we've got going on. So say 1, if you think Manor Solomon should stay. 2, if you think his time at Spurs should come to an end this evening. Worth noting as well that the Turkish and Saudi transfer windows go on for another sort of week to 10 days. So anyone that doesn't leave tonight can still leave the club in the coming week or 2. What left wingers are actually left? Too late for elite left wingers like Savinho and Leao. They probably don't see Lookman as a winger these days. I mean, yeah, that's I guess the concern. Who is left? I mean, Malik Fofana's out there. You could talk about the ideas of like Morgan Rogers and people like that, but whether or not they're going to happen, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, as I say, like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all that if you haven't already. I'm going to stop plugging it for 10 minutes now because I think I don't want to bore people to death with the plugs, but I want to make sure I get them all out. And also, why as I think of it as well, tomorrow, THFC_Frank. I filmed my first video today, so that will be up tomorrow at some point. I think tomorrow, if not Wednesday, it'll be one of the next 2 days. And so, little sort of video about the Bournemouth game and what I thought, and sort of I dissected it a little bit. So, subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Much appreciated. Subscribe to this channel, more importantly, if you haven't, then that is very much appreciated. And yeah, let's have a look in the comments. Going from Son to Solomon is pathetic. I would personally drive him to Palace. If I could drive, I would do the same. We ain't signing anyone else. We got to hope. We've got to believe. 1, but keep if we cannot get a winger. Very fair. I think ultimately it depends on if he's going to actually be used by Thomas Frank. If Thomas Frank isn't going to use him, then I'm not sure. If Thomas Frank's not going to use him, then I would get rid of him regardless of whether you sign a winger or not. It ultimately depends. If he wants to keep him and he's okay with him staying, then wow. AFK Grouty, that is very, very generous of you. And you've said, is Savinho deal definitely off? Can they not be sorted? I think if we don't get that left side sorted, we could be in trouble. I do agree. I think Savinho, I think it's probably off. I was starting to wonder if maybe on deadline day it was the sort of thing that could happen, but I think sadly it is probably off, which is a real shame, because I think he would have been a real ceiling raiser. I'm hoping that maybe a Morgan Rogers or a Savinho could still happen, but I think as we head into the last 3 hours, it's quite unlikely. But that is unbelievably great. We're unbelievably grateful, I should say, and very, very generous of you. James said, "Top man, thanks. Is that Tiago from FIFA 13? If that is right, then that is a sensational pull from the pair of you." Right, gosh, again over 600. This is mental. But thank you again to AFK Grouty. Very, very generous of you. Levers looked at Kolo Muani's 22-game career at left wing and thought that will do. Sad thing, the majority of the fan base kind of agree. Loads of that will do vibes. I think too often, and I'm not going to rant because this is a positive deadline day stream, but too often I think we kind of settle for just being enough under ENIC, and that's quite sad. I think a lot of, as I say, a lot of what we've done this summer has been pretty good in terms of the players we brought in, but too often we don't do. We just do enough to be there or thereabouts. We don't do enough to be able to compete. We do enough to be there. Do you know what I mean? And that's a real shame. Ryan Sessegnon from FIFA 19. Wow, FIFA looks like FIFA 12. Yeah, FIFA 19 is. Then again, I guess it was nearly 7 years ago. Atalanta demanding an obligation. Spurs still pushing for an option to buy it. Till still containing Gil and Solomon exits would possibly open the obligation route. What is the source for that? I would like to know, and I will bring that up. So we bring that up. Yeah, James is saying it. Very, very grateful. Very, very generous of you. That is very, very nice. And come on, you Spurs, of course. Let's have a look. Right. Let's see what else is going on. See what see what some of the in the knows are saying. And see what James Davies has said. That has he? Let me get it up then. Everybody's favorite AI journalist. Let's see what he has said. Give me a moment. Right. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Let me share my screen, and I will show you what is going on. Sorry, 1 second. Let me just reply to this as well. Sorry, 1 second, and then I will be with you. Just seeing if anything else is going on. Keep the chat going. Do go on. Engagement piece. One player that you think we're going to sign. Not you want. Who do you think we're going to sign in the last 3 hours? Not Kolo Muani. If we sign one other, who is it going to be? Let me know. I want to see those comments coming in, and I will bring them up. 1 second. Right, let's have a look. Let's have a look at some of these comments, and then we will bring that up in a moment. Timo Werner, I couldn't think of anything worse. Rafael Leao would be very nice. We can hope. Lukeman or Ake. Ake would be good. I've said about Ake quite a lot on here recently. I really do want. Nathan Ake. Hope it's Lookman. I think Lookman's going to be quite an easy deal to do, as I say. If it comes to 6 o'clock and they can't get anyone else, I think Lookman will be the one that will happen. Would be my hunch. Just having a look, seeing if anything else is coming up. Rasmus. I mean, I'm hoping that's not Hoyland. He went for like 50 million this week on a different note. That's insane money. But I mean, maybe I don't know football. But yeah, right. Let's get James Davies up. He said Atalanta are demanding an obligation. Obviously, money not at its peak in Italy, in Italian football, certainly. So money is probably needed. Spurs still pushing for an option to buy. Talk still continuing. Gil and Solomon exits would possibly open the obligation route. This was after he said last night that Lookman has rejected Bayern Munich. As I say, anyone watching this who doesn't know who James Davies is or whatever, take it with a pinch of salt. He's come out of literally nowhere. Seems to be getting some stuff right, but I'm a little bit reluctant to massively celebrate his work so far. But yeah, interesting. Lookman wants to leave, so hopefully we can move in quick because other clubs want him too. I mean, he's wanted to leave for a while, and I think if that many clubs wanted him, he probably would have gone by now. So I'm a little bit chill. I'm quite relaxed. I don't think he'll be an Atalanta player by 7 o'clock tonight. I know that. Spurs, Bayern Munich, Galatasaray. He'll go somewhere. He's been linked with all. It's now, to be fair, I'm happy with Kolo. Very true. I am as well. 2 hours and 54 minutes. We've now got 2 hours and 52. We are running out of time. So disrespectful to Lookman, because that's way better treatment than his last option nonsense. To look at Fofana before him is wild. I do agree to look at Fofana before him is wild. I'm not Lookman's biggest fan. I think he's good. I'm not his biggest fan in the world. But yeah, I do think that I do think that Fofana it should be a lower option on the list. Some pretty mad transfers on a non-Spurs related note for a moment. I know this is not transfer window related, but some pretty mad ones gone through today. Mark Gahey obviously gone to Liverpool, which is quite interesting. Harvey Elliott obviously gone to Aston Villa. So yes, some decent deals being done. Tyreek George was the one that I was quite interested by going to Fulham. I think he'll do well there. I think he's quite a good player. The Chelsea winger. Right, still 600 of you in here, which is incredible. And I'm just trying to see if there's anything else in here. Let's see what else is going on. Why do we sign Tell when he's about to be a fourth option on the left? I'm hoping he won't be. I mean, I was quite impressed by him at points against Bournemouth. I think he tried to do the right thing a couple of times, and quite unlucky with what would have been one of the nicest goals and most aesthetically pleasing goals I've seen at Spurs in a couple of years, actually. Let's have a look. To be honest, I'm not sure on Lookman. He's tried it in the Prem. Form thinking he's a good time at Atalanta, maybe he can prove himself, but I'm not sure. I have the same opinion as you. I think he could be good. I think he could, but I don't think he's going to be elite. I think he's going to have a ceiling, which is a good level, but it's probably where he's at now, and he might sort of get a little bit better, but I think he's going to be at a ceiling, as long as we get a winger. Agreed, Grouty. Let's have a look. We want a champagne winger like Lookman or Savinho. Unfortunately, what we have is Tell and Solomon is Bovril. I think that's harsh on Matty's Tell. But like Manor Solomon, I don't really like Bovril. So about right. If you were one of the few that voted not happy about Kolo Muani, tell me why. Tell me why. Thank you, James. That is something I should have mentioned. I wanted George, would have been Saka versus Evil Saka in the North London derby. If we didn't have Tell and Oliver, I would have been very all over the idea of signing Tyreek George. I think he's a good player. And that would have been fantastic in the derby. Would have added some extra spice to it. Happy with the Kolo Muani? Yes, good player. 6% of you said no. Wow. So let me know who you are that said no and why you're not happy with Kolo Muani. I think we might be sniffing around Kevin. Why Fulham suddenly pivoted to George? Just a hunch. Very possible. Very, very possible. Something that probably I haven't thought about enough. It says, I know he's quite highly rated. I don't know enough about him, but he's meant to be good. I wanted Mikey Moore to stay and take over Son at left, but maybe he's too young. Yeah, that is something that that obviously has been talked about quite a lot. Mikey Moore was pretty good actually yesterday, I thought, in the old firm derby. The fact you believe that FK is testing on FIFA 19, it's a joke. Some FIFA 13 KSI video. That is some fantastic knowledge as well from Harry Butler. I was not really on the FIFA hype train. I know everyone's going to, every FIFA player from then is going to shoot me down for this, but I was not on the FIFA hype train until my first ever one was 15. So yeah, when I was about 9, my first one was FIFA 15. So KSI was never one I really watched. So hence apart from Heskey Time was a fantastic song. And I know he did his Road to Div 1, but yeah, I'm not massively knowledgeable on him. Hence why I didn't get that. But James, I'm disappointed in you. I know you're on. To be fair, you did say it was FIFA 13. You were on that. 640 odd of you in here. Incredible. Do these Rodgers rumors have weight to them or nah? I hope so. I really, really hope so. I wish I could give you a better answer than that. But yeah. Yeah, I don't have a clue where it came from. Ho just gave it to me years ago and said it was Cess. Maybe not. My bad. Very fair. Very, very fair. Yeah, no, I am. That was not my forte prior to FIFA 15. Anything post then, and I'll have a good chat with you about that. let's have a look. I'm just trying to sort of see what else is going on. I want to pull up an FB ref in a moment, just to sort of have a chat about. I want to have a look at Kolo Muani's and see what we think, see what the underlying numbers are suggesting. I mean, I've just seen that the most two comparable players to him are Nicholas Jackson and Darwin Nunez. I don't know whether to be scared or excited. Let's pull this up very, very quickly. Before we do, are we getting any more signings in? Let's hope. Let's hope. I love the profile picture of Xavi Simons as well. Hopefully going to be a superstar. This is the FB ref of Randal Kolo Muani, obviously coming to England to come and do his medical. If you look at the sort of attacking numbers, they are not perfect, right? It's in the last year. So obviously he went to Juve, didn't really play at PSG in the first half of the year, and then went to Juve and scored 8 in 13 league starts. Second half of the season. I mean, they're not bad. They're certainly not bad. There's certainly enough that you can improve on, but enough that's go, okay, we're at a decent level. They can be improved. Down here, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Touches, successful take-ons, progressive passes. Now, this is interesting, right? Thomas Frank likes wingers who are direct, who go at you with pace, with flair, with intent that they're going to try and hurt you and try and score goals, right? And the idea of successful take-ons being in the top 94 percentile is immense. Same with touches, same with progressive passes. He wants to drive with the ball. He wants to go forward. He's going to be explosive. That they are very, very good stats. In terms of defensively as well, his tackles, interceptions, blocks, all very good, right? He works hard. He's obviously a hard worker, pressing from the front, and also tracking back as well. But yeah, that is certainly some good numbers. And I say, similar players to Randal Kolo Muani, got Jackson, Nunez, Lacazette, Lautaro Martinez as well in there. So you can have a look at that. Let's have a look at the chat again whilst they are up. Let's have a look. We are honestly 2 signings away from having the best transfer window in living memory. All we need is a winger and defender like Nathan Ake. I totally agree, Richard. Totally agree. We're in a really good place in terms of the players we're bringing in. They're just a little bit short. Not the players themselves. I mean, the how many? You know, Xavi Simons is quite small, but Frank improves players. He does. Harry Butler says thoughts on Brennan Johnson. The Bournemouth performance was his average performance every game, but this time he didn't get a back post tap in. He's not very good, in your opinion. Runs away from the ball, doesn't want it. I think Brennan Johnson probably comes under too much criticism. I realise that he's not maybe the player that we want, and he's not maybe, now we've seen Kudus, we maybe realise that a little bit more. But on the flip side, I look at it and I go, he's obviously a good enough, he's obviously a clever enough player in that he's a poacher. All right. So in that regard, I think he offers something that a lot of the players in our team don't have. And I realised that the back post tap in, and I get that. But I'm of the opinion that if it was that easy and it was just a back post tap in, then everyone else would do it, right? And they don't. And so a lot of his goals are one-touch finishes, which are even more impressive. He's a good finisher. He's a natural finisher. And so what he lacks in being able to run at people, take people on, flick it around people, work that in that respect, he makes up for in his finishing and his goal scoring, which is second to none last season. I'm pretty certain in saying. Sorry, that window's not shut properly, and the rain is really coming down. Has there been any movement on Ademola Lookman thus far? No, but I think there will be. Obviously, we're 2 hours and 43 minutes until the transfer window ends. I think Johnson should be a super sub centre forward. I do agree. I think he can certainly be part of that. Average finisher as well. I'm sorry, without Tammins, he's a League One level player. Absolutely horrendous footballer. As I say, though, if you take away his greatest strength, then it makes him sound worse, right? I'm of the opinion. I realise that I realise he doesn't do other stuff well and whatever, but it's like saying that's what he's best at, right? If you take away Christian Romero's defending, or if you take away whoever, do you know what I mean? If you take away one of their greatest strengths, Mickey van der Ven's pace, or if you take away, they're all great players. They're all in their own right great players, and I think Brennan Johnson is the same. I get the idea that he's a bit redundant, and that left-hand side could be a bit redundant when he's there and when he's not firing. But if it was that easy to just score back post tap-ins, everyone would do it, right? And I don't think they do. Jan says he's watching us instead of doing your homework. That, if I was a teacher, I would say was bad, but I'm not. So thank you very much. Alfie says, come on, you Spurs. Thoughts on Spurs, but he goes to Chelsea games now and sings the song. Wow. Singing their songs is crazy. I'm going to admit something here. I have family that are Chelsea, half family, half Chelsea, half from Tottenham. I have in the past been to Chelsea, but I would never, ever sing their songs or celebrate the fact that they're winning games. I'm a Tottenham fan, and that is too far. Love Johnson. I just don't expect much else other than goals. This is the thing, right? Once you accept him for what he is, as you accept everyone else for what they are, he's not going to run rings around you, right? He's not going to be what Kudus is, but his output is probably going to be far better than Kudus is come the end of the season. Would be my hunch. So that's kind of where I'm at with them. Told you before, he's right, but I think League One is harsh. He'd be too good. He'd be good to Championship. He is far better than the Championship level. We're talking about a guy who scored 15 Premier League goals, or he's got 25 goals since he's signed for Tottenham or whatever. You know, at top level. So I do disagree. Randal Kolo Muani is in the building. I would love to see that he's in the building. I've not seen anything come up. Joe says, new subscriber. Thank you very much, pal. It is much appreciated. Gives me a good little segue into plugging it again. Haven't done it for 15, 20 minutes. If you're new, subscribe, like, and hit the bell so you never miss an upload from this channel, which me and James are obviously working very hard, as you've seen, certainly over this summer. And this is going to continue, by the way. It's a consistent thing that we are working at. It's not just the summer transfer window. We're not done here. We are going to keep going. So make sure you're in here for the lives, for the videos, the lot over the course of this season. We hit 4.3K today, which is amazing. It's very, very much appreciated. I think when we sort of came back this summer and when I sort of joined along, it was 2.5K or something like that. And so the growth since then has been absolutely immense. And it is much, much appreciated. We want to hit 10K by the end of the season. So subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. I expect to see your mums, your dads, your nans and your granddads subscribed and in the chat next time round. But yeah, to say thank you very much. And if, let's say, if you can contribute financially, it's much appreciated through obviously super chats where you can create a talking point, as Grouty did a couple of times, and that was much, much appreciated and does not go unnoticed. And memberships where you can obviously come on here. We've had Jack on here and obviously got some new members last night. If you were here and saw that, so we've got quite a few new members now. So you can come on here. The more the merrier. Get you all on here. You can come on right now with me and have a chat with me on here and tell me what you think. For I want to say it's £2 a month, but I could be wrong. I really don't know, and I need to look at that. I say that every time. But yeah, as I say, much appreciated if you do, but obviously you're not obliged to do so. And as I say, all that goes to funding me and James's grind and push to make us brilliant content as we can. 700 of you in here now, which is incredible. Whilst I was talking then, very much appreciated. Vernon says he just subscribed. Thank you very much. You may as well put a rock on our left attacking side. They still have the same impact as Johnson, Taylor, and Odegaard. Our left wing depth is Championship level. I don't think a rock scores 20 goals last season, but maybe it does. Maybe it does. Let's see if anything else is going on. Sorry, what? Apologies. Right, let's get another little engagement piece in here. Samuel Willing Jr. has joined West Brom. That is a very interesting signing. Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Who is now? We've spoken about the one that we think will happen. Who's the dream one now? Is it Lookman still? Is it Morgan Rogers? Is it Savinho still? Dream but realistic. Who do you think? I disagree. I mean, it's hard to say that someone's better off not scoring because, that's the objective, right? Don't know why we're thinking of loaning out Odegaard when we still have the likes of Gil and Solomon. Very, very true. And I agree massively. Sorry, in the just going to bring this up very quickly. In here, James has put it in the chat a couple of times. Click on that link. You can become a member, and you can literally message right now to our Twitter. Usually our Instagram, but our Instagram is not there currently, as we explained earlier on. So come and message our Twitter if you became a member now. You can message our Twitter, and you can come on this show right now with me and come and talk to the 700 of you watching right now. Obviously, not obliged, but would be much appreciated. Where is James? He is coming on in under an hour. I'm not overly impressed by Muani. The hour Rogers would be great. I'm so on Lookman. I'm very much the same with Lookman. I'm not massive. Muani excites me. I wasn't convinced, but he excites me more than he did yesterday. Put it that way. Lookman is setting on platter for us. I do think Lookman will be the sort of one that at 6 o'clock could just happen if they can't find anyone else. But yeah, as I say, the support has been absolutely immense so far in the first 50 minutes of this. So yeah, let's keep it going. Sorry, I'm just I'm trying to see different rumors and things. What's going on? Dream is Savinho. Realistic is Lookman. I probably have to agree. Is that Elsa in a Spurs shirt? Fantastic. How long is left for the deadline? The deadline has 2 hours and 35 minutes left. Sorry, I need to. Yeah, sorry. The deadline has 2 hours and 35 minutes left. Yeah, Johnson scores goals, but we need to have. Basically needs that passer, at least not be lazy. I do agree that there's some of the running and things maybe, but that's not something that can be coached into you, right? That can be coached into you. So for years, we need players like Lukaku, Alanga, Grealish, Icardi, McTominay, Wood. All our fans say no to everyone, but want Johnson. I have to be honest. I would turn down half of those guys. I have to be totally honest. Alanga, I'd have. Grealish, I'd have. Yeah, I mean, Actacoglu's all right, from my knowledge. Chris Wood, I don't think would really be one. Icardi would have been great like 10 years ago. We'll go hard for someone in the last hour and run out of time intentionally. Seen the playbook before, of course. Okay, that's the next engagement piece then. Which player is the rumour going to come out at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock? Tottenham are going all in for, and then they run out of time before Alistair Gold drops the Spurs are done for the day. Let me know. Who is it? Who's it going to be? Obviously, usually we have until 11 p.m. It's only 7 p.m. today, so that is much different. You're going with Rafael Leao. Leao. Yep, Grouty said Leao. Levy is taking the mick. Got some money, so he can taking ball players. Needs a left wing. Sold Son and no replacement. Is he good? Probably not. Probably not. 2 hours left. I don't think we'll move for anyone. We've got to hope. We've got to hope. Probably be Lookman, Leao. Just seeing if anything else is coming up. Let's have a look. Kolo Muani can play on the left, by the way. He can. So it's certainly an option. But yeah, I mean, obviously, we don't know. Don't know just yet what they're going to look to put him in. Why we're talking Tottenham news? It's probably worth mentioning. The Tottenham have confirmed and have announced ticket prices for the Champions League home games. The Villarreal is Category B, Copenhagen and Slavia Prague are Category C, and Borussia Dortmund Category A. South Stand adult tickets are at £55 a ticket. Worth mentioning for our 4 Champions League home games. Surely Messi is available. Would be nice, wouldn't it? Abdurrahman says, Frank, do you actually think we'll sign a left winger? I've got to be honest. I mean, the longer it goes on, the more my hope is diminishing. But having said that, I think they will. I think if they want Lookman, they'll get Lookman done. And so, yes, I'm going to stick with yes. I'll be very disappointed if not. No chance Leo would get into the team ahead of Mike Brennan Johnson. We wouldn't score as many goals. Tottenham are here. Wonderful. Sign some players, please. Don't want him being the starting left. We'd rather have an actual left winger. I do agree. I imagine that's about Kolo Muani, and subsequently, I agree. Adeyemi would be nice. A good shout. I like. And when we talk about pace and directness of players, yeah, wouldn't shock me, by the way, if they went for Kevin Schade. I think we mentioned him the other day. Someone that's obviously been at Brentford and things. That wouldn't be the greatest shock in the world. We should go for Lookman or Leao or Akliouche. We need a proper left winger, says Joe. I think we're done for attackers, but might get centre back on loan in the last few minutes. Quite possibly. What's the price difference? I don't know. That's all that tweet said. I'm very sorry. I tried to give you some news and I failed miserably at that. If you're a Spurs fan, you know that hope means nothing. Exactly. Jack has said, Frank, engagement piece for you. This is the sort of engagement pieces. If you want me to make sure I definitely see these as well, then super chats, as I've said, are obviously available for these. Who would be your starting attacking midfielder, wingers, and centre forward if we get Lookman over the line? Very good question. Answer that as well in the chat. I would say for that like West Ham game, we're looking at Kudus on the right. Xavi Simons will have to start in the left, unless he goes a little bit deeper. I think he'll go Xavi Simons on the sorry in the middle, not on the left. Sorry, in the middle. If Solanke is fit, then Solanke should be our starting striker and Lookman on the left to sort of West Ham or over the next sort of month. But that would probably be the strongest I think we have. Obviously, Kolo Muani instead of Richarlison, Solanke, whoever. But that would be what I think the strongest would be. There's nothing happening in the news at the moment. Other streams are talking about Spurs. Other streams are talking about food. Spurs are so quiet. I haven't eaten today, so I'm not going to talk about food, or I will end up being very hungry. I've been a day of filming and podcasting, which I'm enjoying and loving. But yeah, I will. When James gets here, I have to run off and go and grab a bit of toast, I think. Morgan Rogers might be a possibility for 80 to 85 since Villa bought a lot of players they have. It's quite interesting the way Villa are operating. Frank, what are your thoughts on Villa getting Sancho and Elliott? I think it's great business for them as they would get into our team without a doubt. Sancho, I'm not sure. I like Jadon Sancho. I worry that with him, the no D-heads policy of Thomas Frank probably doesn't coincide with maybe Jadon Sancho. Harvey Elliott, I realise that people might suggest the same thing, but I don't think would be as much of the case. I really like Harvey Elliott. I think Harvey Elliott's a good player. I think they're both good players. I think they'll both improve Aston Villa. And I would have definitely liked Harvey Elliott, but I'm very pleased with Xavi Simons. Sorry, my really sore throat. It must just be talking Tottenham all day. Solanke could be out till Christmas. I'm sorry. That is not ideal. I hope not. That would be a real big loss if that is true. Muani is night and day better than Dom. I don't think I agree, but fine. Why do you think that though? That's why I know. Why, Richard, do you think that he is night and day better than Dom? What do you think he offers that Dom doesn't? I wish we'd have splashed the money on Matoma. I think Matoma would have been a really good sign. It's a shame he's not a little bit younger. I think if he was a little bit younger, we would have done. I'd love for Richarlison to stay. I want to make sure that is known that was a comment and not something that I've said. I'm not Richarlison's biggest fan, as many of you watching will probably know. Sancho Elliott's a good player. Elliott is a good player. Didn't Paul say we ain't going for anyone more? I think he said we're trying, but he doesn't think it's likely. Sancho at Dortmund was a monster, one of the world's best players in the career. Yeah, I do agree. He wasn't great at Chelsea either. I mean, I'm not sure Chelsea are the greatest club for development either, but I think he'll be a good player at Villa. Do you think Kulu can play on the left when he's back? I think it's certainly an option. I think, as I say, Thomas Frank is about versatility and switching things up and allowing players different roles and things, and I think that's certainly one that we could see. Yeah. But he's obviously not been back for a while. Opinions on what's next for Richarlison? I think Richarlison will stay for the season. I think Richarlison will leave Tottenham next summer, would be my hunch. I hope I'm not lagging. It looks like I'm lagging a little bit. No, I think I'm all right. Yeah, Richarlison I think will leave Spurs next summer will be my hunch. Let's have a quick Twitter refresh, see what's going on in the transfer world. Aston Villa are set to pay 80% of Sancho's 350 grand a week wages. I mean, that is insane money. Just saw Matty Tell's highlights at Bayern Munich. He's a ball of them. I wish he was more of a striker, centre forward there as well as he played as a winger. I do agree. I think this season, that's why maybe the striker wasn't as much of a priority for me as a left winger, because I think we can see Tell as a striker. But now I don't, because you've obviously got Kolo Muani in as well. But I think we could have possibly seen Matty Tell play that striker role. He came on kind of in that role the other day and was really unlucky with that chance that he hit from kind of the edge of the area. So let me just move that a little bit. I'm pretty sure Don would never have been in the French national team. Don would be good for Brentford. I mean, I understand the argument. Maybe he's at a level, kind of a ceiling level. I kind of get that. I don't necessarily agree. I think it's quite hard to judge players that played under Ange and solely only under Ange, because we saw what he did under Iraola, who was a structured coach, but more like Thomas Frank, and he scored a lot of goals. And so I think he would do under Thomas Frank, but obviously the injury has impacted him thus far. 750 of you in here right now, which is absolutely insane. AFK Grouty says, I miss Lucas Moura. Don't we all? Don't we all? Oh, what's happened with... Wow, interesting. Igor to Crystal Palace has collapsed. Crystal Palace related. Gahey completed his medical at Liverpool, but now they might have to pull out of the deal, which is a bit mad. Surely not. You'd like to think they would get their replacement. They don't want him playing for him if he doesn't actually want to be there. Junai Byfield was part of the Spurs media day for the Champions League, which is quite incredible. 16 he is. I imagine we'll see him against Doncaster. Right. 750 of you in here, which is absolutely insane numbers. Engagement piece. Let's think of an engagement piece to get you guys talking again. Okay. Prediction of every signing we've made so far. Signing of the year. Which one's going to be the one that at the end of the year we go, that was the one. That was the one that I'm glad we got over the line. That was the one that's helped us win something. That was the one that's helped us do whatever. And without them, we wouldn't have done. Who is it? For me, I'm probably going to go with João Paulinho. I think Paulinho is going to be really important for the big games and sort of cup games and things. Grace says Kudus. Barty says Xavi Simons. Jack says Xavi, not even close. Wow. I do think Xavi Simons is going to be a very important player. Simons any day. Says Devonch. Let's have I would go Paulinho solely because I think he's going to be really important in the cups. I think he's going to be crucial in those big cup games away from home and things like that. Joe says Xavi. I thought that might be the answer from you, Joe, with the profile picture. Of course, everyone's new favourite superstar at Tottenham. Mbappe, when he comes in, we can dream. Paulinho is our Rodri. We've been missing someone since Wanyama. I do agree. I think that is very true. Thomas Frank, very, very, very true. I mean, I imagine he's probably going to be the signing of the summer, and then I would go João Paulinho. You raise a very good point, Con. But yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing, right? We're making signings, and that's why I think that's quite a good question, because we're making signings that are everyone's kind of a little bit like I don't know what the word is, but we're all a bit split on it, right? We're all a bit. We're gonna be joined by a guest in a mere moment, and so I will ask him the same question when he gets here. Wanyama was better on the ball than Paulinho. Yeah, I probably would agree with that. Richard Jones says Xavi. Joe says Paulinho is also very important. We've been crying out for a holding midfielder for years. Yeah, agreed. Ake would be a great sign to play left back, centre back, and can link with Van der Ven and Simons. I again would have to agree. I think that should be the priority. 8 100 of you in here now, which is absolutely immense. I'm going to use it as a very quick time to once again say subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Hit the bell. So if you never miss an upload, if you haven't already, as I say, members, super chats, all available. I'm not gonna whack you with that hammer too much more for a little while. But yeah, the numbers are growing. Paulinho is a masterstroke for signing. I have to agree. I'm sorry to say this, mate, but we ain't signing anyone. I hope I'm proved to be wrong. I hope you are as well. Sorry, 1 second to make sure my AirPods are connecting before we have our guest come on in. A face that I'm sure many of you will recognise from the Tottenham community. James will be here hopefully soon as well to come and join us. But yeah, I mean, as I say, they're all really split answers, which is what kind of interested me. And as I say, I'll ask our guest in a couple of minutes' time who's going to be with us until James comes on in about 40 minutes' time, maybe a little bit, just under that actually. As I've just heard from him now. Liverpool bought the league. They haven't yet. I mean, to be honest, listen, are we going to win it? Probably not. So I kind of don't mind them buying the league as long as it isn't Arsenal. On that note, Billy, welcome in, mate.
Hello, mate. How's it going?
All right, how are you?
Yeah, good, man. Good. Strapping in for the last couple hours.
Yeah. So, how are you feeling about it all? Where's your head at with it?
Largely pretty positive. You know, I think wasn't expecting Kolo Muani when I went to bed last night, that's for sure, and then acted pretty quickly on that. There's a little bit of a nagging doubt in my mind that no left winger, that's the way it might turn out. But I think overall, if you look at the window overall, you know, it's been a really positive step forward for Tottenham. I'd say that's now 4 players that improved the 11. You know, last summer I would argue that we signed 1, so that was a really disappointing window. Certainly turned out that way in the Premier League as well. So yeah, pretty positive, mate. But I'll be, if we manage to get a left winger in before the window closes in some miracle, then I would take me from being positive to absolutely buzzing. How about you, mate?
I think I probably have to agree. I mean, I was saying on here earlier on that I think probably a lot of the negativity around the window is probably because of the narrative that we've kind of been fed. The media narrative, and obviously the Eze thing and the Gibbs White thing and all this different stuff that, you know, if you take those aside, the individuals they brought in, I mean, I think have been excellent. And I think they're buying a better caliber of player, it seems. Players that can contribute now.
I think if you kind of add obviously Romero and renewals and Spence renewals into that as well, you know, it's a really positive window overall. And you know, Kudus, Paulinho, Simons, and Muani, it's 4 decent signings. Just a bit worried about our left-hand side, mate, especially after, you know, performance at Bournemouth. A little bit worried about that, but you know, can't do everything in one window, right?
If you could have sort of an ideal kind of realistic one for the last couple of hours, left winger, who are you going for?
I'm a big fan of Adamon Lookman. Right. I just think his output is crazy. I know there's concerns about, you know, what he did in the Premier League, but I would suggest that, you know, not all player progression is linear. I think there's a good chance for me that he's improved a lot, especially working under someone like Gasperini, who's an absolutely brilliant coach. I have a feeling that if he came back to the Premier League now, he would kind of explode. And my one main worry about when I look across our team now is we don't really have anyone that's prolific in terms of goals. You know, Solanke, Richarlison, and Muani are all sort of, you're looking at maybe 15, 20 goals a season from them. We don't really have a prolific goal scorer there. Whereas Lookman, his numbers for Atalanta have been insane. And he will sort of guarantee you from a winger standpoint, he scored more than 15 goals the last 3 seasons going. So that's where I'll be looking at. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah, sorry, just very quickly as well. Over 1,600 of you in here now, which is unbelievable. I think you've got some unbelievable pull since you've come in, to be honest. I've gone up by nearly 1,000 people.
Let's hope for a bomber, mate, but let's see if that happens.
But yeah, I mean, I've just seen that he is at Hotspur Way, Kolo Muani. I'll try and bring that up in a second. But we were talking about a minute before you got in here, and I asked the question, and it was a really split response. Who do you think in a year's time, when you look back at this, will you go, that was the one signing that made us win something, or made us that? Which one's going to be the one that you go, that's the one? Do you think?
I would hope that it would be Xavi Simons. That's what I'd hope. For the hype and the expectation around him, that's the one I would hope for. But you could look back at signing someone like Paulinho and thinking, actually, that was in the real big games. That was the one.
That was my shout, Paulinho.
Yeah, that was the one that got us over the line. And what you would sort of really hope to look for is sort of, a mixture of all of them being the ones that, did it. And I think I always kind of feel with Tottenham in windows, especially in the last 3 or 4 years in particular, we've signed a lot of potential. This window, there seems to be a difference to aiming for players that improve the first 11 straight away. So it's been good to see that. And I just really hope it materializes. I really hope so. I would say out of them two, Simons. But then again, at the beginning of the season, Kudus has been fantastic as well. So, but you'd hope with the fee, the expectation that Simons would be the one, because that's a really exciting signing. And if he's anything like the sort of build up that we've given it, then I think we're in for a really exciting time.
I mean, it feels like I was obviously a little bit too young for it, but it feels like I saw someone say earlier on, I think it was the first sort of, it feels like a real superstar they've signed. And I know he's obviously young and might not end up being this superstar, but it feels like they've picked up a superstar. And I saw someone mention sort of the first one sort of since Klinsmann, that it feels like they've brought this guy in who's known around the world, like to a high level. Maybe he's not hit that high level as a footballing role yet, but we're talking a profile we brought in. I mean, it feels pretty big, this does, I think.
Yeah, and obviously Klinsmann was before my time as well, but Van der Vaart wasn't, and that's the kind of sort of buzz that you're getting.
Yeah,
I remember a really dark day for me in Tottenham was the end of the transfer window when we sold Gareth Bale. So on that day, we sold Gareth Bale, and I think it was on deadline day as well. We sold Gareth Bale to Real Madrid, and Arsenal signed Mesut Ozil. And I remember watching Sky Sports News that day and thinking there was all these Arsenal fans lined up outside the club shop with 11 Ozil on the back, or whatever it is. And I think Simons is like the first signing we've done that, where you can just imagine in the next home game, like a queue of people stand outside the front shop with 7 Xavi on the back. It's that kind of immediate impact signing, which we haven't done before. We've signed a lot of amazing players that have gone on to be superstars, but we haven't signed a superstar. Probably you're looking at Van der Vaart and Klinsmann. Van der Vaart was obviously slightly towards the end of his career as well, whereas Klinsmann, I believe, was proper world-class signing at the time.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about our history, that in 30 years or whatever, we've only signed 2, but there you go. Good to get them back. Yeah, and it's just it's good to have a bit of excitement around the club again, for sure. And I actually I think maybe myself, I've been sort of downplaying the Muani transfer a little bit. I think if circumstances have been different, I think that would be a really exciting signing as well. It just kind of, the fact that it kind of came out of the blue, especially as we were linked with him a lot in January, and he apparently rejected us and stuff. It's kind of, if we were signing that player from Frankfurt, that would be a really exciting signing. But the fact that he's had a sort of muddled history at PSG and, rejected us, has left me kind of feeling maybe I'm downplaying that one a bit myself, but I think that could hopefully turn out to be a really smart signing. I'm really happy that the club acted quickly in that one as well, especially if it seems like Solanke is going to be a bit more injured than I have a feeling that we might not see Solanke for a little while.
I mean, I guess I guess we probably all downplay it a little bit, and this is maybe this probably, as I say, where the narrative of the window kind of feeds into the way we think, that whether we were actually going all in for Savinho or Rodgers or any of these guys, we don't know. But I think because you hear these names and they're thrown around, and Savinho, Rodgers, Eze, obviously, whatever, you hear these names that you kind of buy into that idea so much that when someone that you don't believe to be on the exact same level, which is probably Kolo Muani, I mean, he's not the same level of signing as Morgan Rodgers would have been or whatever, but he's still a good enough player that's going to come in, and he's got this ceiling and this high ceiling and everything, that I think that's probably what we downplay it, why we downplay it, because we buy into this narrative. Yeah,
and a French international as well. I'd say that's probably the hardest team in world football to break into as well. So that's it's got to have some kind of credence. I just read mate, that Solomon to Palace has hit some difficulties apparently. It's a bit of a gutter.
That's not
Tottenham want an obligation, whereas Palace only want an option. I'd be really keen to get rid of Solomon and Gil out the door if we can.
Yeah, that's That is a bit of a killer.
Going back to the old Tottenham Palace negotiating again, eh?
Yeah, that's got PTSD from the last time. Right, let's have a look at some comments very quickly. Let's see what we've got up. All right, Ilkay Gundogan going to Galatasaray.
It's been a pretty, if you zoom out of Tottenham a little bit, it's been a pretty wild deadline day for signings, hasn't it?
It has been. Usually deadline days can be really boring.
In like history of Isak and then Gay, but
yeah,
it's been a pretty big one for the deadline day for sure.
Yeah, usually deadline day can be really boring. Like by 1 o'clock, nothing's happening, or there's one deal that has been going on for 3 weeks and it finally happens. But no, today, as far as things go, as you say, Isak and obviously Gay, and then Villa, it feels like I've got a few over the line. Alistair Goals just tweeted, is it going to be one of the Alistair Goals tweeted out, we're just 2 hours, I can't read, just over 2 hours of Spurs' transfer window left. And look at what's left still to do. I think we're getting to that time, people. And no, they're not signing Mbappe. And by that time, I suspect he means the usual Spurs are done for the day, which is disappointing. But I mean, as you say, I think the window's actually been a success in terms of what they brought in. A little bit, maybe we're a little bit short. I think a left winger probably would have been important. But
I think if you compare it to our previous windows, it's a huge difference, right?
Yeah, agreed. And I think that's kind of what you've got to compare it to. I think we're probably comparing it too much to Arsenal and Liverpool and City and Chelsea and whatever. And so, as much as we have to
saying that, even Man City fans are pretty fuming at the moment, aren't they? They're saying they need to do more. Obviously, Liverpool can discount as one of the best windows in Premier League history, if not the best. And then Arsenal have had a really good window as well. But even their fans will probably think now that they probably got no chance of winning the league. So I think looking around the Premier League, we've had one of the best windows, I would suggest.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the quality of player we brought in, I mean, I think that's certainly up there. But I'm a little bit. I will be surprised if they don't get in another one today. I have to be honest. I still have that hunch that something else will happen.
The thing is, for me, because we knew Son was going, we would have known Son was going probably straight as soon as Bilbao happened. I imagine he probably told the club, "I'm going." That's what 5, 6 months, 4 months ago now. And it's just, and I think people will say, "Well, we're not that short there," but I think even the club must have recognised that we are, because they've spent a month trying to get Savinho. So if the club are targeting a player in that position, that tells you that they're probably not happy themselves. I understand waiting to January if we honestly feel that we can get Savinho then, but there's I would always kind of point to the fact that I'm not sure Man City are too keen on doing business with us in the first place. If it's difficult now, it's probably going to be even more difficult in January, and then we're back to square one again. And I think in between now and January, we've got a whole Champions League group phase to come. So I would love to get a left winger in if we can.
I mean, that's the thing. You play at least with the Champions League and obviously the extended format. You play at least 48 games now at the very bare minimum this season. You play obviously you're 8 in Europe at least. You're 38, and then your 2 cup ones. And I imagine we'll go through against Doncaster. And so you need a squad, and right now that squad probably isn't capable of. I mean, they want to compete on all 4 fronts and win the Premier League and the Champions League and whatever, and that's probably a long way off. It feels,
I think, especially because I haven't spoke to you about it since, but especially because we've got a pretty favourable Champions League draw as well. It could be a real opportunity to get into the knockouts, which would be massive for us. I think if we get into the knockouts in our first Champions League back. And with the draw that we've got, that should be a formality now, hopefully. What do you think about that? Do you think that it's a big opportunity for us to get there into those knockouts?
Massively. I mean, I think it was 16 points you needed to finish in the top 8 this year, right? Which, if you look at that, those 4 home games, Dortmund might be a bit of a challenge, but those 4 home games are all very, very winnable, right?
We've got a good record against Dortmund as well, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. They're all very winnable. We've obviously playing a Frankfurt team, which you would argue are maybe they brought in a couple of decent players, but are probably weaker now. Losing Ekatike, and we won there already. You go away to Bodo Glimt.
We got a bit stronger, I would say, as well.
Yeah, agreed. You go to Bodo Glimt, where we probably still weren't playing that well, and went there and won, and were pretty comfortable. I mean, I know it's a tough place to go and whatever, but as a footballing side, I don't think Bodo Glimt are that elite. And so it's only really sort of Monaco and PSG that I look at as real sort of tougher ones. And we've already shown that PSG we can compete. And with all due respect, Monaco have got Eric Dyer starting. you know, a guy who we didn't think was good enough. And so, put it this way, there is certainly an avenue that you can get 16 plus points out of that and progress without having to play the extra 2. Honestly, I'm just gonna bring this up because it's everyone's favorite AI journalist. And I'll bring up Alistair Gold actually very quickly on something that he's just said, where he has said that barring something unexpected, Randal Kolo Muani is Tottenham's final signing of the summer. He's expected to be Tottenham's final signing of the summer. And then also I will bring up, as I say, everyone's favourite AI journalist. Slightly, obviously, take it with a pinch of salt. Tottenham have exited talks for Adam Lookman. They will now consider their window done. Only chance for late business would be outstanding loan opportunity appears for defence or wing. Focus shifts on outgoing Solomon and Gil. I do find it slightly hard to believe they would get rid of Solomon and Gil, and not that either of them would have really contributed this year, but they're not bringing a winger.
Solomon was on the bench.
Yeah,
Solomon was on the bench at the weekend, so you're literally making your squad weaker by selling him. So in theory,
I mean, I don't mind the idea of selling him. That's fine. Either. I mean, if you think you can make 15 million or whatever off him, that's all right. But I'm slightly, I mean, I have to say I'm a little bit skeptical of if they are getting rid of him, as you say, not bringing someone in to actually come in and contribute themselves. Because I think Kolo Muani can be an impact player and whatever. But as I say, Richarlison, Solanke are tough to rely on for injury reasons, and then you've got Tel and Odobert who are young and quite unproven, and Kolo Muani has not played in the league before, and so you go through that left-hand side and sort of striker area, and it does.
Yeah. So a question then: if we're gonna line up in our, let's say something like Arsenal at home or something like that with the current squad, what can you see our front four? What do you think would be assuming that everyone's fit as well? How would you take the front forward? Because I can't quite decide who's going to be on that left wing.
No, I think the only one that you could probably argue is, it depends obviously on the game, but the only one who's probably set in stone, I think, is probably Kudus.
Right? Yeah.
It's
the only
providing they're all fit. Kudus is probably set in stone.
Obviously, that doesn't include Kudus. I'm not including Kudus, and Madison in that, obviously.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, I would say Kudus is set. For more often than not, I think Xavi Simons will probably play as well.
Yeah.
There might be the odd time
or left wing
as a 10, I suspect.
Yeah,
I would go with, and then I think on that left, it literally will be a toss-up. I really don't know. That's my concern. That we're kind of in a position where Kolo Muani might be great and whatever, but Kolo Muani might start on the left at the start and whatever. But if Johnson's back starting by November, it wouldn't be a shock.
I think it says a lot about the way that Frank views the squad, that he started Johnson, a right winger, on the left wing in all of our Premier League games ahead of Tel and Odobert. I would suggest that says a lot about the way that he maybe views the squad. I'm surprised Odobert has not nailed that place down, to be honest, in Frank's mind anyway. Obviously, he's sort of, the fact that a right winger has been shoehorned there, I think says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about Johnson earlier, and I don't know what your thoughts are on him, but I think I was saying that I kind of understand the frustration with him, because he can be so fantastic in some of the stuff he does and then lacks so much elsewhere. I mean, I don't know what you think of him, but
yeah, I think he's obviously a fantastic goal scorer. I think his overall wing play is absolutely shocking, to be honest.
Yeah.
But obviously, goal's the most important contribution that you can have in football. It's really weird. I've never known a player like it in my life, a player that offers so little other than goals. But then you can't complain at a player that, it's a really strange one, mate. But I just think, the Bournemouth game was proof that his overall gameplay is it's beyond lacking at the moment. I think he doesn't contribute anything other than goals. But then at the same time, if you're only contributing goals, how can you criticize? It's really weird. It's such a weird paradox in football, though, isn't it? It's just, I've never known anything like it in my life, to be honest.
Yeah, it's very. I mean, I think personally, what I think doesn't help it, and I'm not Richarlison's biggest fan. But I think, like the game the other day, and when we're playing out, and quite often we're going direct because they're press and everything, and Richarlison's sort of general hold up and Johnson, the pair of them, their hold up's not fantastic. At times Richarlison does it and he flicks things around and he's brilliant, but at times he can be quite weak, and the pair of the Bournemouth centre halves and Diakate and Senesi just sort of messed him about. And unless you then provide an inch perfect pass to Kudus, you ain't really breaking out, and that's the frustration with the pair of them for me. That when Johnson and Richarlison are in and around the box, I would almost argue they're the two best sort of finishers in and around the box, actually, when they're in those areas.
Finishers, brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Richarlison's movement is fantastic. And as I say, he frustrates me a lot, but his movement in and around the box, I think, is better than Solanke's, and I think he does that well. But then I look at Solanke outside the area, and I think that's when he proves to be a better player. I think that in that sort of, and it's kind of the same with Johnson, that they both kind of have that trait and tendency to be quite weak and sort of let the game pass them by, and then it's all on Kudus, and that's a problem.
Yep. Yeah, I see a couple of people in the comments saying maybe Xavi might play on the left wing, Kolo might play on the left wing. Yeah, we've got a lot of players that sort of can play on the left wing. I would just like to assign a left winger if that makes a specialist.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately as well, I guess it kind of depends when Kulu's going to be back. I mean, I know they say it won't probably be to the new year, and I imagine that's probably the case. And even by then, it might take him 2 months to be back fully fit. But hopefully he comes back and then you can sort of mix things up a little bit more.
It's interesting, obviously, because we've got a lot of players that can play on the left wing. So Richarlison's played there, Odegaard's played there, Tell's played there, Siemens can play there, Muani. That's 5 players that can play there. But I just think in terms of a specialist, we don't really have anyone that's sort of the real quality that we need. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. I'm looking, I think, especially as literally straight after the international break, we've got 2 games a week again. So I'd be interested to see how they line up.
And we got quite a tough start after I know, obviously, everyone sort of laughed at West Ham at the start. So they won yesterday, and we never seem to be overly successful away at West Ham either.
We've got Brighton coming up as well, have we?
Both of them away in the next 2, I think, and then it's
Brighton. Obviously, that Man City game showed you can't.
They're games that are certainly banana skins. I mean, so many games in the Premier League are now. I mean, there's very few games in the Premier League you sit there and go, we will win that.
We got a really poor record against West Ham lately as well.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think we've won there for a while.
I was looking, we haven't won there, I don't think, in 5 in the last 5. I think the last time was 2019.
They beat us away last time, didn't they?
So that's a slight worry, and obviously with them winning yesterday, we'll give them a bit of a boost, I'm sure. So it's the Spence renewal. That's another one I forgot about. I guess they'll get Bentancur done soon, wrapped up soon as well. He's one that I didn't think he was great at the weekend. I think he was a little bit slow and things. But do you think giving him a contract's the right thing to do?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a big renewal, and I think in the England squad as well. I think when you look in the window as a whole as well, if you look at the renewals of Romero and Spence, that's two big pieces of news to come our way. So that'd be good. And I'm not really entirely sure on our contract situation. I don't know if there's anyone else sort of running out on the horizon. I know Bissouma is, but I think he'll be gone. And then there's rumours of a Bentancur renewal as well.
Yeah. So I think Bentancur is probably the sort of the closest one to, I would imagine. I think getting him over the line will be good, because I think for the first time, he started to look a bit like at the end of last season, but I think now I think he was great actually at the weekend, but I think he's starting now to look like what he was pre the ACL injury, that he's starting to look like he's gliding a little bit and moving better and whatever.
And then after that, pretty much all of them are tied down to long. I'd imagine us trying to get tied down Van de Ven for another a long-term contract soon.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Sar's on long-term, isn't he? Bergval's long-term.
Yeah.
Porro, Udogi's to 2030, isn't he? Porro might need a renewal soon as well. But yeah, we're in pretty good shape squad-wise.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, what did
you make of this absolutely ridiculous story that came through last night from nowhere with any credence, really, just sort of ITKs? But Aston Villa want Bergval.
Oh, Bergval.
Yeah, and then a couple of fans saying, well, if we can do it for Rodgers, maybe. I wouldn't.
I would. I like Morgan Rodgers, and I think Morgan Rodgers is great. I would not swap Bergval for anyone. I don't think.
I would. I would not even entertain it for No. It's not even
but Bergval has every ability and every bit of talent, whatever, to be as good as he wants to be. I think the kid can be a superstar if he wants to be.
I sort of think of Odegaard as well, which might be more of a question, but Bergval wouldn't even start a conversation for me for anyone.
Yeah, I mean, if Wilson Odegaard and they looked at it, maybe that. I mean, I saw there was a rumor they want him on loan for a year. I mean, if he was going to go and play, then I'm not necessarily against it. I wouldn't look at getting rid of either of them. I mean, they bought them for a reason because they're good players.
But even with a player like Rodgers coming in, Bergvall is not something I'll be anywhere near considering leaving. I think he was our player of the year last year, for God's sake.
Yeah, I mean, he won like all 3 awards or whatever he did. I mean, I don't think that was just a case of looking good in a bad side either. I think he was just so up a level from.
Yeah, and I think it's a case of a classic case you see online at the moment, isn't it? Like with the new shiny thing being more interested than what you've got.
Yeah.
Like Rodgers is a fantastic player, and I'd be very excited for him to sign. But he's had a shocking start to the season, and
yeah, exactly.
Someone like Bergvall was in the mix, and no chance.
And it's funny how that sort of changes when, as you say, that Pape Sarr. I think if you asked anyone in June what their predicted lineup for the first day of the season would have been, I don't reckon Pape Sarr would have been in any of them. And now we look at him again like he's, this player that we all thought he was going to be. And that is an interesting one as well. I mean, I think
like first name on the team sheet at the moment, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think certain games suit him better than others, like the City game and games where he needs to be running. I think like the Bournemouth game, a 10 is kind of obviously a priority, has to come in as Xavi Simons type and actually hit the lock a little bit. But I mean, I think he's I have to say, I think he's surprised a lot of people, and it's good. I'm really glad because he's too talented to kind of be what he was being, if you get what I mean, that he was a bit part player that kind of occasionally contributed and looked like in glimpses, but I think he's too talented to not be
me too.
Top.
And I'd be interested to see who the favoured 2 are going to be in midfield, considering if we stick with sort of a 2 and then 3 behind the striker. I know because a lot of people are talking about Palhinha and Bentancur, Palhinha and Sarr. Maybe if Sarr comes out of the 10, which obviously he will now, we've got Siemens. Be interested to see who drops out of there, because I can't see us starting a big game without Sarr at the moment, the way that he's playing.
No, I can't. I mean, I guess we might see Simmons a little bit on the left and whatever in big games, and they might go with Kudus and a striker with Sarr still in that 10, if you will. But I mean, that's the thing. I think that's what I like about Thomas Frank, because it's so game dependent. That a bit like with Pep, you ain't got a clue what he's going to do, and that's exciting. That's good. I mean, as I say, I think Bergvall at some point is going to become very, very important again.
Yeah, I think the second half against Bournemouth showed that, really, didn't it? I think. I think off the back of that, I think Frank made a rare error in this team against Bournemouth. But I think off the back of that, he's probably going to be playing more often than not.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's got too much energy and too much talent, full stop, to not be a part of that more often. I mean, Palhinha, I think, will be the one that I think will be Bentancur that will drop out if Bergvall comes in more often than not. I think Palhinha will be there just to sit there and give the others a bit of freedom, because I mean, I don't agree, like as you say the other day, starting the pair of them together was the wrong choice, I think, and probably one of the reasons that we lost. Let's have a look at the chat very quickly, see what's going on. Is Lookman not happening then? As of right now, no.
Doesn't look like it.
No, which is
a shame. So I would pull the trick on that deal straight away, and then I think suddenly we've got a really, really good window.
I mean, to be fair,
there's a bit of talk about Savinho in January, isn't there? But
yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that more of those sort of deals, Savinho's and whatever, haven't happened because of the window, because of the World Cup. Sorry, I'm surprised that they haven't gone through. I mean, I almost expected at points today to see us linked to Rodrigo on loan. I'm quite surprised it hasn't been linked at some point, whether it was true or not. I'm surprised there hasn't been a link. But I mean, to be honest, as you say, I think the window's been a success on the whole compared to previous years and whatever. It is a little bit disappointing they've not got a winger in. But I saw Paul O'Keefe say earlier on as well that they think that it's quite an easy deal to do, Lookman. So maybe it's one that they think.
Maybe if we get Solomon and Gil out the door, then
with a couple of hours left, they can actually go and bring him in. I guess it ultimately depends on if those two actually can go. Perfect opportunity to sign a winger. Kolo Muani doesn't include a buy option for now. I mean, for Fabrizio Romano, I saw he went back on his own thing.
He originally said it was. Then Ornstein said no, didn't he? And then
and then I mean, to be honest, even that at 5 million or whatever it's going to cost, that's unbelievable.
I'm not too fussed about that either because I think if he has a great season with us, then he'll just stay anyway. I'm not really bothered about the obligation.
Exactly.
I think if the same happened with Tell really. Like he didn't have he had a sort of an option, didn't he? I think if you have a good season at these places, they usually end up staying 9 times out of 10. So it's not really an issue for me. And if he doesn't, then it favours us.
Exactly, and that's the thing, right? I mean, if he doesn't favour us, then if he wants to go to someone else, if he's brilliant next year, then so be it. But like,
I think if he has a good season with us, it's unlikely that someone bigger than us will come in and get him, just because it doesn't usually tend to happen. He'll probably just end up staying here.
I think that's the thing, and where we are as a club, it's not like we are, Crystal Palace level, and that's no disrespect to them, but someone that there are a number of clubs above us. In being a sort of a lower top 6 sort of side, you've got Madrid, City, Bayern.
There's only a handful of clubs really.
Yeah, and unless he either stays at PSG or goes to one of that lot, which is probably quite unlikely, unless he's like unbelievable.
Obviously, Bayern have just got Jackson, haven't they? So, and they've got a ton of forward options at the moment. Bayern.
Exactly. It's kind of
our place in the food chain is pretty good. We're obviously not at the top, but we're not far off it.
Exactly, and that's quite that's
kind of weird now, isn't it? Like the food chain, like in the Serie A, La Liga, there's no one can compete with us with wages really, other than Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and Barcelona, PSG. The other teams are really struggling. So we've kind of
thing.
Even Serie A, I wouldn't say any of this, other than Napoli and Inter, which we make comfortably more money than. So, we're right at the top of the food chain these days.
I mean that's the thing, but it's English football as a whole. Like, I watching Bournemouth on Saturday, but I can't believe the quality of some of these lower teams.
People like Sunderland just going around signing top players in Europe.
It's like getting Granit Xhaka and
Sunderland can pay more wages than like 90% of La Liga teams now.
Yeah, I mean they went and got that Gertruda this morning, which is an unbelievable signing by the looks of things. That's
Pender, weren't they? They got signed Xhaka.
Yeah.
The wages in the Premier League now like dwarf even even your AC Milans can't compete with teams like Bournemouth anymore, which is nuts.
It's mental, and it makes the Premier League so competitive because now you're in a position where, I mean, every club, maybe bar Burnley, you could argue, have probably 2 good players at least.
Yeah,
2 good players that would get into most teams in the Premier League.
Yeah,
and I think
Bournemouth are just crazy, aren't they? Like, considering they sold 4 of their back 5 last season, they still look really, really good. I thought they were lucky not to get a point at Liverpool, to be honest. And obviously they battered us. The first team to batter us under Thomas Frank. They were 1-0 was way flattering, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, just really good. There's just, like you say, there's just no like the Premier League now. It's insane quality. And now you're sort of suddenly looking at that West Ham game, thinking, God, we've just gone 1-3-0, away at Forest.
That's the thing, and
you never know what's going to happen.
That's how important I think this weekend was, because if you've beaten Bournemouth and whatever, then regardless of West Ham, you go into that confident, you go into it on a high. But now we're a little bit like, all of a sudden, if West Ham beat us, we're going to be level on points, and they've had an awful start.
That's why I think we have to maximise our advantages as a Big 6 club, like revenue. If we're not spending the maximum that we can spend every summer, these teams can easily catch you up. Aston Villa, Bournemouth, that sort of Everton this summer. Suddenly, now they're looking like they could.
Done unbelievably, and that gap is shortening between the bottom of the top 6 and the top of the rest.
So we're in a sort of position where we can spend 300-400 million, where other clubs can't do that because of PSR. And if we're not doing it, then the gap's going to get smaller and smaller every year.
Yeah, whilst the gap for us between the top 3 or 4 is getting bigger,
exactly.
And so we're kind of on our own little area, which is quite a strange place to be. We're maybe a little bit like Man United to an extent.
Yeah,
in that sort of area that they're spending a little bit more, but they're kind of in that same sort of area. But yeah, I know you've got to run shortly, so I will not. Sorry, let me see.
What do you make of just before I go? What do you make of Aston Villa? Because now I've been a bit confused by them sort of this summer. They haven't really done anything until today. Now suddenly there's all this talk about their wages and stuff. Then Martinez has now signed a new deal, and suddenly they've just brought in Elliott and Sancho's on absolutely insane wages like this. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. I think if there'd have been a bit more time in the window, maybe Rodgers is something we could have looked at to exploit that, but it doesn't look like. Obviously, that's an unrealistic opportunity now. But their PSR must be right on the brink of being finable.
I mean, I'm not really sure how they're managing to do it, given the position that we all kind of were led to believe they're in.
And now they've just signed someone on even more wages than anyone they've had before.
Yeah, they've gone and done that. They're probably one of the most highly paid players in the Premier League. And Harvey Elliott, which, by the way, at 35 million is an unbelievable buy, I think.
Granny Sancho, they're paying 80% of his wages, which is about 270,000 a week.
I mean, that's mental money. I mean, that absolutely trumps anyone we've got.
Yeah, it's like 70,000 more pounds than Kane was on it with us and stuff.
Like that. I mean, that's. I'm not really sure where that's coming from. I don't know if there's anything else out. I mean, I guess they sold Jacob Ramsey, didn't they? But
they didn't sell Martinez, which is what everyone's saying they had to do.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how that works.
Anyway, mate, I will definitely be tuning in from my drive, and I'll let's hope we can get one more thing before the end of the window.
Fingers crossed. Thank you for coming on, mate.
Anytime, mate. I'll be tuning in. See you later.
See you, mate. Right, let's continue. Do not click off as I'm staying on. James will be on in 5 minutes' time. The numbers, by the way, nearly 5,000 of you watching, which is absolutely incredible, and very, very grateful for that. So do not click off. Stay on here and stay in the chat. Rogers, minimum 85 million today. Yes, I would have to agree. I'm just trying to find out if anything else is going on. I've just seen Gary Jacob has posted, so give me a moment and I'll get that up for you. A little bit of transfer news to talk about. Give me 1 second. It is regarding outgoing, which is disappointing. Crystal Palace are closing in on Manor Solomon. I imagine it's going to be a loan with an option to buy, which is listen. I'm glad he's probably going. I'm glad we're sorting out some outgoings. I'll be disappointed if someone doesn't come in on the flip side. But listen, it's certainly good that they are getting one out. Kinski's miles clear of the Championship. I saw that comment. Kinski is a good enough goalkeeper, and he will, I imagine, be in this Spurs team very soon. The numbers are still growing. Yeah, nearly 5,000 of you now in here, which is unbelievable. James will be here in the next couple of minutes, which is fantastic. So let's keep looking at the comments. Little engagement piece. Give me a one in the chat if you genuinely believe something's still going to happen in the last hour and 46 minutes. Give me a 2 if you think there is absolutely no hope. Or yeah, let me see what you think. 1 still. Oh, you really think something's happening? I'm going to agree with you, but I'm starting to lose a little bit of hope. The comment in there as well. Very nice. HD74, nice. 2, I would have to. I'm a little bit in the middle. I have to be honest. I'm a 1.5, which is a rubbish answer. I know. I'm 20. I know you are. You've told me you're number 1. Solomon goes quick. I suggest getting someone. I can as well. A mod get spam. Seriously do. That is something me and James need to sort out. 1.5. Good. Very funny. Right. And live for coming up to an hour and 45 minutes, which James is going to come in the next couple of moments. Don't worry. Helps a bit in the engagement. Luffy King also says 1. He still believes that someone is coming in. Lookman will link with Simmons very, very well. I do agree. But sadly, Daniel Levy doesn't link with his bank account very well. I'd say with family away, 60 away from 5,000 have you been here? Joe says 1, a left winger, which it will be very interesting. I hope so. I really, really hope so. We can dream. I'm not sure how much belief I have anymore. I hope the moment Solomon is announced, we get Lookman, but it's highly unlikely. It wouldn't be the greatest shock in the world if they do that. But I sadly, as of right now, we should get Carl Hudlin if Danso can take these long throws. Very good. He's just gone to Vietnam. So we go out and get Morgan Rogers for the left wing. It would be nice, but I think sadly it's too little, too late. Yeah, and Ange might have some 16-year-old Macedonian lined up or something. Probably. Very, very likely. Very, very likely. It's really bloody raining, isn't it? Sorry, it shows how much the transfer window's taken over and talking about the weather. Get that protest sorted, Billy T. Yes. Good guest in here. Very, very much like having Billy T on here. Obviously part of the change for Tottenham sort of movement, which has taken off 5,000 of you in here now, which is immense. We need a direct left winger. Agreed. Let's start the window. Wanted Federico Redondo, but he's gone. Great show. Thank you. Do you think we're done with players coming in? As a Spurs fan, yes. As an optimist, no. At least if we in January, or bring more back. I'm not sure Mikey was ready. Although I thought he was pretty good yesterday. James said we in 2 minutes. Good stuff. Should have pushed for Kingsley Coman earlier on. Where did he go in the end? Why did Kingsley Coman go in the end? That's just poor knowledge from myself. He did lead, didn't he? Al Nasser. That's fair enough. I'm not convinced that would have been my option. I was more on the Sane hype train out of the two of them. Obviously, he was on ridiculous wages. So yes, yeah. There you go. Look at us thinking alike. We wanted Leroy Sane as well to replace Son. Just seeing if we've got anything else through in the last sort of minute before he went to Saudi Arabia, before James comes on. I think we need to put money aside for a top wing. That's why we loaned a striker and look at it. Very, very possible. Very, very possible. Why don't we get Neymar? Slightly unrealistic. Are you impressed with the Muani signing? Sorry, just joined. Apologies if you talked about it already. I am. Very, very positive. I am impressed by it. I think for the fee, I think it's very little risk and very high reward for a player that could end up being very good. Wow, coincidence. Yeah, very much so. What's going on with Ake and Akanji? Akanji is going to Inter Milan for 15 million euros, a loan for 2 million euros, and a 15 million euro by obligation, I want to say. Ake still at Manchester City, and I imagine he will be there for the foreseeable. Joe says, I would take Pedro Gonçalves, the left winger from Sporting Lisbon. I would have to agree. He's a good player. I think it was him that scored from the halfway line at the Emirates once. I want to say it was. Don't think he's good enough. Levy does us short again. I do agree that we've been left a little bit short, but not awfully that we can't cope. So we're getting by. We're getting by. But I'd like to hope another one comes in the next hour and 40 minutes. I rate Alex Baena. That is sensational ball knowledge. I'm not going to read out your name because I'll get in trouble. But I think, did he not go to Atletico Madrid, or did that? Yeah, no, he did. So that's one that obviously couldn't have. I mean, unless we got him beforehand. Busquets should have stayed. I don't mind him going out on loan, but I'm surprised they haven't got someone in to replace him. Yeah, again, the left winger signing. Lookman is literally an easy deal. Going to so many outlets. How we can go through a season of other until I do. And we've got a new member. Sorry, 1 second. Let me pull this up first. That feels like actually pulled up. Jack, thank you very much. Very, very generous. Very, very much appreciated as well. You can, whenever you want, you can contact SpursRelated on Twitter or in this chat now, and you can come on whenever you want, and we'll send you the link. And whether you want this stream, another stream, whatever, but yeah. You can come on and join us. So, yes, thank you very much for that. Sorry, 1 second. According to a Bergamo newspaper, which is obviously Atalanta, Bayern Munich's offer for Lookman yesterday was a €5 million loan fee with a €28 million option to buy. Bayern's bid for Lookman came after encouragement for his entourage to offer him to the club. However, they didn't convince Atalanta, who only wanted to sell him permanently. Lookman's camp are still offering him around to try and find a club for him before tonight's deadline. It'll be difficult to meet Atalanta's demand, and they won't have time to find a replacement anyway. Mate, thank you. As I say, come on whenever you want, whenever you'd like to. You're more than welcome. Contact SpursRelated on Twitter, and we will get you in. We had a big name signing. I would agree. Marnie's in time because of the Solanke news. Before that news is going out, they're still going for a left winger. I do agree. Yeah, the fact they haven't got a left winger is a joke, to be honest. Given that they Why no left back or centre backs? Negligence by the football director, short in these areas again. Yep, happened last year. It's their job to get a perfect squad. I was just do Brennan short. Absolutely spot on. Apparently, Oliver is going. No, I think that was kind of slightly nonsense. 1 sec, and just seems like Bryan Gil is gone, or very close to going. I seem to be picking up, which is good. So, listen, whether Bryan Gil and Solomon, more so Solomon probably, could have been a part of the squad. Whether or not they wanted him is a different argument. They could have been part of the squad, and certainly offered something in certain areas, certain like games and things. I mean, Solomon was on the bench at the weekend, and you're now getting rid of another squad player. You brought in Kolo Muani, yeah, but you've also lost Solanke, and so you're not in a stronger place than you were 3 weeks ago, and that's for me. That's for me the concern. So as much as we've done some good bits, I am very, very disappointed. Gil gone. We'll probably sign back next year for 30 million. Do you think Thomas Frank would try one of the thoughts on the wing? Did just play for a short stint in the game? Do you think they're trying that again? I think it's unlikely. I think if anyone was going to, I mean, I think they all probably could suit it. I've just seen another in the notes that we are done in the window, which is not great news. I'm not gonna answer the political questions. Just woke up. Have Spurs signed anyone? Any of our players? Have any of them left? I can't read. Yes, we have. Let's get this up for you. Kolo Muani is on his way. He arrived at Hotspur a while ago. He has signed. He's going to sign a 1-year loan deal, straight loan. And with no option or obligation, which this was later corrected by Fabrizio Romero. Other than that, it seems very quiet. There are rumours that Bryan Gil is set to go to Girona for €7 million, and that Manor Solomon could be on his way to Crystal Palace, and that seems to be heating up as time goes on. I see you in here, Milton, as always. Carl said Lookman made his team so much better. I'm starting to think that Lookman would have improved this team, and it is disappointing that can you put on some Johnson highlights? No, I can't, because I don't want to get copyright claimed. I think for me, is that Muani, etc. is a loan. If we sign Muani on a permit for like 15 million, I don't understand. It's a loan for 5 million. I don't get why. Yeah, I mean, this is the point, right? It was the argument. I saw a comment earlier. I think it was Jack that brought it up, and he made a really good point. He said that a month ago, Eze and Savinho was the plan. Eze and Savinho, 125 million. Since then, they bought Xavi Simons for 51, and Kolo Muani for 5. Right? That where's the other 70 million gone? Just like the 70 million on Mark Gahey, who's now gone for 35. No worries, Milton. No worries. I think they had no clear plan because that 8 million lineup for Savinho. There you go. They had a clear plan to buy a left winger. They surely would have done something today. Agreed. Am I supposed to sign a winger? I hope so. But I'm starting to lose faith the longer the day goes on. Let's see. Is James on his way in here? He should be. As I say that, absolutely perfect timing. Here he is.
Hello. How's it going? How's it going, Frank?
All right. You all right?
I'm good, mate. You've been on quite the marathon.
I have been. I've been.
2 hours here, and then you're on last one on Spurs for 2 hours twice.
I think I've done 3.5, 4 hours with them today. 2 hours here.
I think progressively you've started to just like sort of like run out of things to say. Good stuff,
I don't know if you saw it, by the way, but we got a new member. I don't know if you.
Oh, class. Who was it? Jack, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. So
big up yourselves. Big up to Jack. But guys, hope you're all doing well. I'm sure Frank probably needs to go and get some water or something, so I'll give him a chance to do that. For sure, but yeah, no worries. But I can see 5,000 of you in the chat, which is absolutely nuts. I think Twitter is a lot of those views. I think they just like keep going up. If someone views it once, it shows us that it's a view. So we're taking that number anyway. But guys, hope you're all doing well. Obviously, Frank's been across the window more than me, but Kolo Muani, are you guys happy with that? First engagement piece from me. Give me a little 1 in the chat if you are buzzing with Kolo Muani, because it's kind of come out of nowhere. Like even 24 hours ago, we weren't really talking about him in that much depth. So I think it's great news. I think it's probably a signing that we wouldn't have wanted at the start of the window necessarily, but I do think it is a good sign in the sense that he can play on the left and he can play up front, although he's probably his better position is at centre forward striker. So that's the only thing I'd say on that. But guys, give me a little 1 in the chat if you're happy with Kolo Muani. Give me a 2 in the chat if you're not so happy. And Kyle's put in the chat, we need a left winger. I mean, how long have we got left? 1 hour and 33 minutes. I don't know if we're going to get any more signings, guys. That's my only concern. I'm not sure if we're going to get any more signings. Fix NBA 4 because it's a loan. Yeah, it's an interesting one that it's only a loan deal. She's saying it's okay news. I don't know how Kolo plays, but I've not heard good things. Interesting. Andre saying, I hear Muani. I think of that World Cup miss. Wait, why do you always think of the negatives, Andre? Hope you're doing well, mate. Hope you're doing well. Harry Butler's gone for a 6. I don't know if you mean 6 out of 10, but it reminds me of asking you guys all a question, and those on YouTube that can comment. If you're not on YouTube and you're on Twitter or Facebook, come over to YouTube so you can put it in the live chat. But if you're on YouTube right now, comment out of 10. If the window ended now, how happy you are out of 10. And I'm going to give you my rating. I think it's about a 7. And the reason why I wouldn't go higher than a 7 is because I think we should have signed a better left winger, and we haven't really got a left winger. I think that centre back, we need more depth on that left centre back side. If Van der Ven gets injured, we're scrambling. We're looking at Dragusin, who, by the way, is still injured. Danzo, could he fill in at left centre back? Then you're looking at Ben Davies. I really think we probably should have signed one more at left centre back. We were linked with Nathan Ake. We were linked with Akanji, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I believe Akanji's gone to Inter Milan. But let's get the guys in the chat up. So lots of numbers going in. Real Tommy says 1. You got to explain. You got to explain why you're saying 1. You can't just put 1. Jonah March has gone 8 3 times. Jonah, I made that 24. Fred, hope you're doing well, mate. Fred, if you want to come on this, by the way, mate, you're very, very welcome to. Fred says 7, so you agree with me. F says 6. Andre says 6. Fix NBA. Due to the structure of these deals, you're going 5. Can you elaborate on that more? Do you mean about the fact that it's not an obligation to buy Kolo Muani? Do you mean something else? I think also you got to look at the outgoings. Like Basuma's still part of the club. Solomon's still part of the club. I think Bryan Gil's off to Girona, right? I need to do a little catch up, to be fair, because I've been very busy today. Abdulrahman's going for a 6. Jack's going for a 6, and F's going, I had dreams of Ake and Rogers. I think those dreams have very much disintegrated. Maybe a January play, mate. Maybe a January play. Average Mirage fan saying good bargains, but not much men through the doors. Sam Lloyd, I agree. Fix. But you would think we're done with the loan with Muani to still have funds for a winger. You know, we were quite happy to drop £70 million on Savinho. So why didn't we drop 40 million on Lukeman? That's what I've got to say. Why did we not drop 40 million on Lookman if we had 70 million for Savinho? And that's why I will not rate this more than a 7 out of 10 window. I'm happy. I'm content. I think it's one of our better windows. I think Xavi Simons is a fantastic signing. I think you could call that a 10 out of 10 signing. I think Takai, question marks over. But I think Palinha is like a 7 or 8 out of 10 signing. I think that's a very good signing. Who else did we sign? Kudus, fantastic signing. I think you could argue that's a 9 out of 10 signing. And so if you average them out, the fact that we signed Tell on a permanent, which I'm not sure was the right move, and the fact we haven't signed a left winger or a backup left centre back, I think if you take all of that and put it in a pot and sort of average it out, I would say that is a 7 out of 10 window. I could see Frank having something to eat. I heard he hadn't eaten anything all day, bless him. Frank, you continue to eat, mate. I'm just bringing up some people in the chat. Andre says 6 because Thomas Frank being clear about what he needs and didn't get them. But lots of points for Xavi. Exactly. I think Xavi Simons is our best. Guys, actually a little engagement piece. Do you think Xavi Simons or Mohamed Kudus is our best signing of the window? Because I think that's quite close. I think a lot of people will say Simons, but I actually think Kudus is a very, very good signing as well. So put Xavi and Simons in the chat, whichever one you think is best. And by the way, guys, we've got... Go on, Frank.
Very quickly, I was going to say, I spoke about this at the start of the stream, I think, with a few.
Yeah.
Before Billy T came on, and it was really split. I kind of said, who do you think was in a year's time, you'll look back on and go, was the best signing?
Mm.
I said Paulinho, but it was very split between all of them, really.
Yeah, Paulinho's underrated as well, really, because we did need that. We were screaming out at the start when we started streaming again in June. We were screaming out for that number 6, weren't we, Frank? So I do agree. 100%. Sam Lloyd, exactly this. I don't get it. 4 out of 10 for DFST. Decent players, 2 of them too late to start the season. Still only spent 100 million. Yeah, that is low. Considering Liverpool just dropped 125 M's on Alexander Isak and 115 on Wirtz. That's 240. That's blown everyone out the window, really. Apologies if I did miss your message. Richard's saying 5. Jack. Oh, my mouse has stopped working. Jack saying the funny thing is, halfway through January, when we were being linked to Kolo Muani, if you'd have said we'd have him, Tell, Kudus, and Simmons on our books, we'd be absolutely love it. But today feels underwhelming. I think because we had an expectation we were getting a left winger and a backup centre back. I think I called it yesterday. I think I said we will only get one more in. I wasn't expecting it to be Kolo Muani, guys. But anyway, I think we need to look into more depth into Kolo Muani because I think it is perhaps a better deal than some people imagine. I think he's actually a decent player, very good numbers. Whether he can do it in the Premier League, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm sure we will break that down for you. And I'm sure Frank's already probably brought up some FB refs anyway. So I'm sure we can maybe bring it up again for those that are just joining. But guys, in terms of the numbers just joining, I know Frank's been plugging the channel away, but there is a few bits of housekeeping to do. We're on 4,336 subscribers, which means we're 64 away from 4.4K. Can we get that this stream? If you're watching right now on Twitter, if you're watching right now on Facebook, come over to YouTube. And if you're on YouTube and you haven't hit the sub button down below, do me 3 massive favors. And that goes for the people that are subscribed as well. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Please like the video down below. It really helps the algorithm. Frank and I are pushing every single day to bring you all the latest content. We're going to do a little refresh on the news so far today. So make sure you're hitting that like button. Let's get up to 200 and turn on those notification bells, which is a very important one because it means you never miss a video. It means you never miss a live stream. And we're doing that every single day. As Frank said earlier, just because it's the end of the window doesn't mean the content stops. We're doing match reviews, match vlogs, match previews, stats, data analysis, breakdowns, everything that you guys would want to watch to do with Tottenham. So make sure you're hitting that notification bell. Make sure you're hitting that like button and make sure you're hitting that subscribe button for me, please, guys. That is great. And as we said before, I think we have 10 members in the house now. 10 members. So anyone that's a member with a little icon next to their name, you can come on this very stream tonight, or you can come on a stream in the future and have your say. So if you become a member down below, there's a join button, but if it's also on mobile, it's in the description. It says become a Spurs related member. Just simply click on that. It's £2, £2 something a month. I think Frank didn't even know. I think it's $2.99 or $2.99 a month. And you can come on this very show. And also you get prioritized in the chat. You'd have probably seen that I've already brought up Jack a few times over some people. And he said, Optimist says we're saving the money for a Savinho push in January. The Pessimist says 70 mil goes towards Enix's new hotel. Absolutely, absolutely. But Frank, mate, I've said 7 out of 10 window. What are you giving that so far? I know you were talking with Billy T about that. You were both pretty happy. Are you going for more of an 8 or are you agreeing on a 7?
I think now that we're probably done, I really don't know. I mean, I think I'm more disappointed than I am happy. There's a really good point earlier. I can't remember what it was. Someone made a really brilliant point about when they said I think it was Jack says about the spending and how they had 125 million set out for Savinho and Eze, and then they've ended up with Xavi Simmons, who I like, by the way, but 51 million, and then 5 million for Kolo Muani. So there's where's that money gone?
Yeah. When you say 5 million for Kolo Muani, do you mean the loan fee?
Yeah. So don't get me wrong, they're both really good buys for that, by the way. But I'm not saying you have to spend a load of money to be successful. Well, you do. But I'm not saying you have to spend a load of money to win the transfer window. But it's more like a point of saying, well, if that money's there, at least you thought it was there a month ago, and when we bid for Mark Gahey in January, apparently, and you know, it happens every year, then there's been rumours that we want a Morgan Rogers, or there's been rumours. Is it all just rubbish, or do we not have the money? Do we have the money? Do we refuse to spend that money? There was a point, as I say, I can't remember there was a really good point someone made earlier on about it, and I imagine I'll remember it as soon as I come off. But no, I'm probably at that was it. Sorry, that they obviously found out about Solanke this morning, right, or last night, or whatever it be. You'd like to think they were going to buy a left winger anyway. I don't know why that Solanke injury has changed that.
Do you think? Sorry, mate. I think this is what you were getting at. Do you think the focus is therefore because of Solanke moved from a left winger to a striker, then that's more important given the news that maybe Solanke is out for 1 or 2 months, maybe more than what everyone thinks at the moment. For me, I'm not saying we're in the nose here, but from what I'm hearing, it could be a couple of months that Solanke's out for. So I mean, like at the end of the day, that's a concern, no?
It is. I just think long term. Listen, I've obviously questioned Solanke and Richarlison's fitness and things like that. But worst case scenario, you either use Tell or you can use Johnson there, right? And that's worst case. I think long term, a left winger is really important for the way we want to play.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite a letdown that they haven't got one. So I'm probably at a 6, at a push, a 7 out of 10.
So you're actually lower than me. You'd go potentially 6.5, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think I was probably being built up a little bit, sort of on earlier podcasts and things, in terms of thinking that maybe we were going to sign these great players and Rodgers could still happen and all this, but now we're an hour and 20 minutes away from the deadline. I can't help but feel that I can't help but feel that it's probably dropped in my estimations. I have to be honest.
Got you. I'm going to catch up on the chat in just 1 second. I can see Joe's in here, former Spurs-related panelist himself. Joe, hope you're doing well, mate. Hope you're enjoying the US Open, I believe you're at the moment still. He said, yes, lads, are you happy with the Kolo Muani signing? Is a straight loan a good idea, or would you have preferred an option to buy? Good incentive for him to prove his worth, I guess. I guess the other thing on this, it's a good question. I think the other point on this is, we're heading into a World Cup year, of course, right, Frank? And Kolo Muani is probably on the fringe of the World Cup squad. Is that fair to say? He gets a lot of game time for France, but I'd say that actually his form in the last maybe 2 years hasn't been insane. And I'm going to obviously bring it up on screen now. 8 goals, 1 assist in 16 matches isn't too bad for Juventus. I think that's a pretty good goal rate. I don't think he's playing the full 90 minutes for a lot of them as well. PSG was obviously very underwhelming, and a lot of these appearances were off the bench. He just didn't really get a massive chance. 26 matches played in Liga in 2023-24, 6 goals, 5 assists. I mean, it's not terrible. You'd probably say that's like Richarlison numbers, though, right? It's probably similar caliber. But then, if we were getting, I think Billy T said it before I came on, if we were getting the Frankfurt version of Kolo Muani, right, then you look at it and go, actually, wow. 15 goals, 11 assists in 32 matches is a sublime season. 26 goal contributions in 32 matches is insane, Frank. It's nearly a goal contribution a game. Anyone on any planet would say yes to that. However, there's 2 points here. That's not Prem proven. That's Bundesliga. However, I think that Bundesliga converts better than the Liga or Serie A potentially would. So I think that's a benefit. However, this was 3 years ago now, Frank. Don't forget we're in 2025, 2026. And the other point to make is, I mean, even in the other competitions, he smashed it. Six goals in and 3 assists in 6 matches in the DFB Pokal. And obviously, you could argue that's stat padding for the fact that in that competition, often, you get like tier 3 teams and you get 6-7-0 games. But you look at his league form, I think that's very, very impressive. And I think if we got the Kolo Muani of Frankfurt, I think he's going to really add to our strike force well. I mean, because we're begging out for goals, Frank. Let's rein this in a little bit, right? Kolo Muani may not be world class, right? I'm not going to sit here and say he's world class, but we need goals. Our top scorer last season in the Premier League was Brennan Johnson with 11 goals. 11 goals. I think that must be one of the lowest amount of goals of a top scorer in Tottenham's Premier League history. Maybe someone's got the stat for that. But we've been used to Harry Kane, 25, 30 goal seasons. We've been used to Heung-min Son, 20 goal seasons consistently. Beggars cannot be choosers here, Frank. We're in deadline day and we didn't have many goals in our team. We have Richarlison, who's very hot and cold. We had Solanke, who's got injury problems. Brennan Johnson, again, is hot and cold. We've got to be honest here, although he's probably one of our best finishers and people hate him. So we have to get in some goals. And I think Kolo Muani may actually be an underrated signing. I'm trying to think positively. I'm not saying, I'm not going to stand and say, yeah, he's going to score 20 Premier League goals. But if he can contribute to 10 and maybe get 5 assists, you'd say that's a decent purchase, especially when it's only being a loan.
100%. I mean, the very basic way of looking at it is 2 years ago, he cost PSG 95 million euros. Today, he's cost Tottenham 5 million euros. I mean, there's just the simple, and yeah, he's not had, but he still had a decent year in Italy last year. Like, I think he started 13 league games and scored 8. Like, he's still had a decent year. There's a player in there, you know. There's a reason PSG bought him for the money they did. There is a player in there, and so I'm quite pleased by it. I was a lot more negative about it maybe before I did reading on it. I was a lot more negative about it when I thought it was probably going to be 50 million quid. The fact that it's there at 5 million, I have no qualms against it. I'm very, very pleased. But yeah, I mean, that comment's the one, isn't it? That what are they paid to do? I mean, what is their role? I mean, it's a strange day. It's a strange day. I mean, something could still happen. I think it's unlikely, but something could still happen, and maybe we're going to be very happy. But yeah, as of right now, it's been a pretty sort of dismal transfer deadline day at Tottenham. It felt like there was hope, felt like there was belief, but I'm not sure. It feels as though a manager is probably going into the season short-handed again, and that's quite sad, I think.
I've got a random one for you. I know this is Spurs related, but we talk about other signings on deadline day that we could have signed. Werder Bremen have just completed medical tests for Victor Boniface. I mean, what happened to him? Because at one point he was a very good striker. Like he was a decent player.
He's going to AC Milan this summer, I think. So I don't really know what's happened in the last 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, I think he failed his medical or something.
That's a shocker, that is.
And then I guess that's why
Galatasaray got Ilkay Gundogan, which is a bit random. And Donnarumma's signed his long-term contract at Man City. So interesting stuff. We'll keep an eye on it. But Visser will wear Newcastle's new number 9. I don't know about Visser. I just feel like I'm surprised Spurs didn't try and swoop for him. I'm a bit surprised. 19 Premier League goals last season, only behind Salah in non-penalty goals, I believe.
Have you seen the headline about Mark Gahey? He's had his medical and now the move's in jeopardy.
Oh dear. Jack saying Boniface keeps failing medicals. One of his knees is shot. Yeah, that's a shocker. That is. Oh, here we go. Joe saying Boniface failed his. There we go. This is why you need a sports journalist in the chat. Boniface failed his medical and deemed surplus at Leverkusen. Prob not worth of Spurs with AFCON. Do you think that's a reason why we haven't gone in for Lookman, Frank?
Quite possibly. Quite possibly. I mean, I think it's certainly a thought, part of the thought process. When I'm going to bring something up very quickly now. Obviously,
sure.
As always.
Go on. I was going to quickly bring up Kolo Muani's FB ref again for those that didn't see it earlier, but you crack on.
Very quickly. It's obviously not the most positive news if you're a Lookman fan, as I'm sure many people are. But
how reliable is this guy though? Frank?
If that answers your question,
are we scraping the barrel here? Are we?
Yeah, of course.
You know,
yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. But fantastic content, isn't it? Then all of a sudden, if he signs for us in an hour's time, it's going to look great.
Yeah. Abdul Rahman saying, guys, did you not watch him at PSG, Juve, and France? I did, but what I'm saying is, if we can get the Kolo Muani of Frankfurt 3 years ago, I guess we're in a similar situation where, and I'm not comparing Kolo Muani to Werner, but when we got in Werner, we were saying, look, terrible at Chelsea, terrible time at Chelsea, but if we can get in the Werner of Chelsea, we will be absolutely laughing to the bank. And we didn't get the Werner of Leipzig. We got the Werner of Chelsea, probably worse actually somehow. So that's where we're at. But Guys, let us know what you think about this Lookman stuff. Give me a 1 in the chat if you're watching on YouTube. If you want Lookman in the last hour, I think it's looking increasingly unlikely. Give me a 2 if you don't want a Lookman. And yeah, make sure you are hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, and turning on those notification bells for us, so you never miss a video. But West Coast Spur is saying 1-1-1. Lookman, massive opportunity miss, says Fix NBA. And he's also saying, any hope for a last-minute signing for us? I think it's looking increasingly unlikely. Unfortunately. DGH has lost his head and put 5. And Paul has gone for 2. You don't want Lookman. I think that's an interesting. I'm going to do a poll. Someone asked me to do some more polls in the YouTube chat, so I'll get that up in a minute. But what I was going to share before I read Jack's comment out, Kolo Muani has been good at Juventus and for France. Juve spent all summer trying to get him back. That is very true. Only failure is at PSG, and I think we can take that. It doesn't seem like much of a risk, does it? Bruce, hope you're doing well, mate. He's saying 1 for Lookman. Let's see what happens. Guys, I think it's increasingly unlikely we're going to make any more signings. But listen, you never know with Tottenham. Frank, I'm just going to remove your screen share a second.
All good.
And we are going to go over to FB Ref, the trusted steed itself. And this is Kolo Muani's scouting report. I'm going to put you full screen. This is Kolo Muani's scouting report in the last 365 days, based on 1,690 minutes played. That to me doesn't seem like he's played many minutes. I'm trying to work out how many games that is. That's only like 15 games, right, Frank? Or is my maths well off there? Like 20 games maybe at a push?
Yeah, that's not a lot off the top of my head. I probably know, but yeah.
So I'd argue we take these with a pinch of salt. So he's in the top 90 percentile for touches in the attacking penalty area. We know we're going to get a player that's going to be dangerous.
It's over 18.5 games.
Yeah. We know we're going to get a player that's going to be dangerous in and around the box. We know that we're going to get a player that's going to receive passes into the final 10 yards of the penalty box. So he's going to be very much a poacher here, and top 95 percentile, top 80 percentile for tackles, gets stuck in, even despite being a forward. He is very much he works hard. So maybe this is another reason, Frank, just dissecting this a little bit further. So he's in the top 20% essentially for tackles made for forwards, right? So for me, that's interesting because Frank wants to be pressing. Frank wants to be, leading from the front line, getting our players to lead from the front line. We've already seen that with Richarlison, especially in the first 3 games where we looked good. I'm including the PSG game, and that obviously the Bournemouth game was a shocker. We see Richarlison, Kudus working very hard, chasing the ball down, especially Pape Sarr in 10 as well. So this could be a reason why also we've looked at Kolo Muani, because he should be working hard. I don't actually know for sure if he's a strong presser of the ball. Frank, maybe you know more than me, but I certainly believe he's going to get stuck in, and I certainly believe he's going to make a lot of touches in the final third. That's for sure. But obviously some of the more underwhelming ones, assists, not up there. But again, if we get the Kolo Muani of Frankfurt, he's going to get like potentially double figures or high single figures in assists. That's the hope. Shots total, it doesn't look like he's taking a mad amount of shots for a striker in his last few games. But again, this is a very, very small data pool that we're working off here. So take it with a pinch of salt. Joe's saying, where has this money come from in Turkey? Fenerbahce signed Edison today and covering John Duran's Saudi wages, which will probably be about 400k. Galatasaray signed Ilkay Gundogan today and now making a late push for Lookman. We'd actually discussed this the other day, didn't we, Frank? It's a bizarre one with Turkey. I think there's something weird going on with Turkey. I'm not going to accuse them of being, anything but absolutely pure. But you have to ask questions where it suddenly come from, that's for sure. And Osman and Onyekuru have been very active in trying to get Lookman to Galatasaray, both Nigerian teammates. Interesting stuff indeed. Paul saying Lookman couldn't cut it in the Premier League, so it's a no from me. Okay. If we get a quality left wing and have Muani up top, we will be on fire. I just think we lack. I just think we went for Savinho for so many weeks to not get him, and and not have an alternative for me. I think we've missed the trick.
That's the bit, to not actually sign a left winger at all. Given that, as you say, we were linked to Savinho for about 3 weeks. We've been linked to a number of players, obviously. But it was we were told, and as I say, a lot of it is the narrative of the media, and how much of it is true is obviously, you believe what you want to believe. But we were told, and we were kind of made to believe, that we wanted an attacking midfielder and a winger, and that was how they were going to do things. Kolo Muani's not a winger. Kolo Muani can play there, like Pedro Porro can play there, or like Jed Spence can play there. They're not wingers. They're players who specialise in other areas, but can play there if needed. And so he's a striker, which is great, and I'm all for that if Solanke's out injured. But that shouldn't take away from the fact they still need a left winger. And sadly, it has taken away. So that's quite a problem.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I just feel like this window is so nearly, but not quite there. See the comments still flooding in, guys. How many numbers we've got now? 5,500 have watched or tuned in or are watching across Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. That is absolutely crazy. And guys, like I said, if you are on Twitter and you're still watching live, please come over to the YouTube. You can interact with the chat. You can put in live chats. You can create talking points. It's much better over on YouTube. That's the one we're kind of focusing mainly on. But if you're enjoying it over Twitter, no problem at all. Please do share it around with your friends, and really appreciate all the support. But what was I going to do? I was going to share Kolo Muani's main positions because I think people forget that he can play. I would argue that he is mainly a striker, and this is because if we go with this screen share here, and we pop this on screen, bear with me. As you can see, looking at this in more detail, these are his main positions. Centre forward, 165 matches. Second striker, 3 matches. Left wing, 12 matches. And right wing, 22 matches. And if you break it down further, while he's been playing centre forward, Frank, he's got 60 goals, 36 assists, and 165 matches played. So that's not 90 minutes. That could be appearances. So 165 appearances with 96 goal contributions. To me, that's pretty decent. That's pretty decent numbers. You don't agree?
No, I think it's very good. And as I say, I mean, I think the most basic way of looking at this is we're talking about a guy who was worth nearly 100 million euros 2 years ago. And we're getting him for 5 for a year. And if he's that great, I realise there's no option or whatever. If he's that great, Tottenham, Billy made a good point or whatever about when he was on, Tottenham will keep him if he's that great, right? In that he probably won't go to a bigger club unless he stays at PSG, which probably isn't going to happen. He's probably not going to go to a Real Madrid, Manchester City, whatever. And so this is Tottenham, probably his level, right? If he has a great season, gets 15, 20 goals in all competitions, he's brilliant, we all love him, he'll probably stay. And so then you're talking maybe 45 or 50 for a guy who 2 years ago was worth 100 or 95 or whatever he was, or that's what he's paid for him at least. So I think it's a really good buy. He's a guy that scores goals. As I say, he's complete polar opposite to what we currently have. He's a handful. You can't play that high line sort of against, like Senesi and Diakate were part of the other day for Bournemouth. You can't play that against him. You could against Richarlison. You can against Solanke because they play with their back to you. He's going to play with his back to you, but he's also going to go. He's going to run, and he's quick. He's explosive. He's powerful, and like Kudus is, these guys and Simmons. I mean, this kind of comment here that those two are explosive, and then Simmons is one he's going to take it past you without you really even knowing that he's done you, right? So that's why I think the frustration is that they're almost a piece of the puzzle away a little bit. It feels like right now. I think the whole window's been pretty good, but yeah, it would have been nice to get a left winger over the line. But all in all, given the fee they've paid, I imagine they'll be able to get him, as I say, if he's that great in a year's time. And if he's not, the risk is so low. So I'm disappointed nothing else is coming. But I think as far as this deal goes, I couldn't really be happier because he wasn't one that was top of my list. But I can sit there and go, I can understand why they've done it. And I think it does benefit us and impacts us in a positive way.
Sure, mate. I obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a 10 out of 10 signing. It's probably not even an 8 or 9 out of 10. It's a decent signing that we don't have much to lose on. But then you could argue, if we're saying it is we don't have much to lose because it's only a loan, should we have been more assertive in the window beforehand? Should we have brought in a left winger when we couldn't get Savinho? When we arguably knew that we couldn't get Savinho around about, 2 weeks ago now, Frank? Let's be honest, that we knew Savinho wasn't going to happen. So, I mean, for 2 weeks, it's like me at school when I used to leave my homework to the last minute. It's like I knew about it for a week, but I decided to do it within about 2 hours of going to the lesson. Like, why do we do that? It's completely and utterly negligent. And I'm not going to go on a rant about the owners because, quite frankly, I'm actually pretty happy on the whole with the window, like 7 out of 10. But it's always a case of Spurs of nearly never was. Like, why can't we just get that 1 or 2 more signings in and turn around and go, look, we've given Thomas Frank pretty much everything he needs here to be a successful manager at the football club. And we've given him the tools to succeed in 4 competitions. Right now, I can't stand here and say, actually, we have given him all the tools. I think it's like 80% done, or maybe even 75% done. It's not 100% done because he's lacking that backup centre-back. Dragusin's still injured. You probably argue that Danzo is probably the only adequate centre-back replacement at the moment, maybe with Ben Davies. But, I mean, listen, it's run its course, some of these players. You'd also argue, why haven't we got rid of Basuma yet? Why have we not got rid of Solomon yet? And why have we not got rid of Hill yet? Okay, Hill's going to Girona. Great. But it's all, again, last minute with 3 players that should have gone out the door that could have given us more funds to be able to acquire more players. For me, that is the simple point of this. You get rid of some players, you get rid of the deadwood that aren't going to fit in Thomas Frank's system, and you then invest and get in players that give us good squad depth and give Thomas Frank the tools he needs for 4 competitions. 4 competitions, guys. Champions League is going to be every other week in about a week's time or 2 weeks' time, whenever it starts. Premier League, you're going to get 1 game a week. And then when you go into Christmas, it's 2 games a week. Carabao Cup, we've got the 3rd round coming up against Doncaster. And then FA Cup will come round in January, of course. We're going to have 2 games a week minimum every week coming up. Do we have enough depth at the back? Do we have enough depth in left wing? No, we don't. And that's why I can never give it more than a 7 out of 10 window for me, Frank.
I think ultimately as well, and it's kind of what you're touching on, that, and again, I'm not gonna choose to rant either because we're having a happy deadline day stream where everyone's in a good mood. But it's always that we just do enough. And I think I said it, I think it was on this stream earlier on, that we always just do enough, right? That they know, and I've said it before, they know, right? Enoch knows and Daniel Levy knows. He can give Thomas Frank the 150 we've spent this summer, right? Gives him 150. With better coaching to the team we had last year, Thomas Frank probably gets them back into the top 8 or 9, right? Mm-hmm. So the 150 he probably gives them, probably gets Tottenham back into the top 6, there or thereabouts, right? By giving him kudos, Xavi Simons, Tottenham probably finish in the top 6, maybe top 7, that European place, right? To get Tottenham to be a really successful side and compete for everything and be at the top of the table and all this, Spurs probably have to spend another 500 million or 600 million, which, because you're seeing how much Liverpool spending and Arsenal spending and all this, if you really want to compete and win the lot and be that successful as he says he wants to be, where Spurs are now, you're probably 500 or 600 million off. And simply from a business perspective, which is what Daniel Levy views it as, it's pointless, because he's sitting there going, if I finish 6th, we make 150 million. If I finish 2nd, we make 170 million. So for the extra 600 million you spend or 500 million you spend, and I'm not backing him up, by the way, I'm just saying from his point of view, from the extra money you spend, you're gaining an extra 20 million. So I know he says he's a fan or whatever. He's a businessman, right? And so from a business point of view, that's a dreadful business plan. because you're losing money. So I understand the fact that we only ever do enough, but from a fan's point of view, it's so painful because you always feel like because they do enough to make you believe, but they never do enough to make you actually achieve. And that's got to be like the change for Tottenham motto, that shouldn't it? They don't actually ever really make you feel like you can consistently actually achieve it, and that's the sort of where the words of negligence and things like that come into it, because you sit there and you go, we are so close. That Tottenham, we have a good 13 or 14 players. We have a good 18, but we have a great 13 players or 14 players. They aren't far off. They are really not that far off being a consistently good side. They've got a good coach. They've got the best facilities. They've got the best training ground. They've got everything. And it's just so sad that it's not put into place, because if they'd come out this window, like it's every window we ever come out of, we go, I wish we'd had that as well. Or it's okay, we can always get one in January. Wouldn't it be nice if we came out of it and went, actually, we've got Ademola Lookman or whoever. We've got Nathan Ake. We've got Kolo Muani. And then we've obviously got all the ones we bought in the last month or two. And we go, we're setting him up. And then in January, we're going to go and get another couple of loan deals who we need to reinforce the season and go again in the cup competitions. And then next summer, we're going to go and do it all again. And Richarlison is going to go, or Solomon's going to go, or whoever isn't wanted in a year's time or whatever. And you're going to go again, right? Maybe Odobert goes in a year, or Tell goes in a year, or whatever. Maybe he doesn't fancy him. And we're going to go again. And next year you get Savinho, and next year. And then you go, in 2 years' time or 3 years' time, Tottenham will be a superpower. But they won't be, because it doesn't, from a financial point of view and an ownership and a business point of view, it doesn't make sense to do so. And that's why clubs that have Saudi ownership, and I know Liverpool don't, and I know Arsenal don't, and whatever, but Arsenal have owners who have spent a ridiculous amount of money and are willing to do that. Liverpool didn't spend anything last year, but then have spent a significant amount of money this year. I mean, they've sold relatively decently. Liverpool, Arsenal sell awfully. Liverpool have sold quite well, and Quanta's gone for 40 and things like that. So they've sold some players. But when you look through, I mean, Chelsea have spent a lot, but they've sold a ridiculous amount. I mean, they've literally changed the whole club from top to bottom since Bowley's gone in. And City sell quite a lot, but spend a ridiculous amount because their owners don't really care. And that's what you get by having owners that are so all right to just. Is you will naturally just compete. I mean, we are so in the PSR thing, so okay to spend. We're just because you are okay doesn't mean that you have the money to spend. And I get we don't always have the money to spend, but we're so okay that and we get pumped with all this stuff. I mean, deadline day in January. I mean, that was one of the worst readings of the room I've ever seen in my life. I mean, we were all sitting there. Tell had turned us down by this point, and we're all sitting there going, "What are we doing? What are we doing? This is awful." Blah blah blah. And all of a sudden, I remember getting an email that they'd announced another Beyonce concert, and we hadn't signed. We signed the day before or something. It was like I couldn't believe it. And then they deleted the post and deleted the email. And then Matisse Tell, the story came out an hour later, and then they really sent the email. And I just thought that was. They constantly do it, and as I say, I'm not going to fully rant, but yeah, that's the sad bit for me, is that we always seem to do enough to make you believe, but never enough to consistently actually perform at a top level.
I agree, mate. I think you're spot on. It's just like I said, it's nearly never was. It's like they'll turn around now. We said we weren't going to go on a rant, but they'll turn around now and they'll say, we did this and that. We got Kolo Muani and we got Xavi Simons and we got Kudus in, Paulinho in. Great, 4 very good additions. Arguably 2 insane additions and 2 all right additions, if you don't mind me saying. Kota Sakai, we're not really sure where we stand at him. Probably what they've said they're going to panic and try and get a centre back, and they haven't, because they're probably not sure what's happening with him. Apparently, we've signed him and he's got a foot problem that could be a permanent foot problem. I mean, great medical team as per. But the other thing is, like, for me, they've said today, or the sources have said to us today, that we are still in the market for a left wing. Apparently, we're still in the market for a left winger now, Frank, right? But why are we still in the market for a left winger? I get deadline day, madness happens. Like, my phone's going nuts with all deals. Like, we're talking about Mark Guehi to Liverpool, it's going through, it's failed. We're talking about Nicholas Jackson, it's going through, it's failed. Now it's back on to Bayern Munich. We're talking about all sorts of things going on. Boniface, Chukwueze's going to Fulham. That's a great signing, by the way. But what are we doing with 2 hours left? Like, what? That's what annoys me. It's like this comment here from Joe. Hang on 1 second. Spurs have 6 games in 17 days from September 13th to September 30th, right? So in 2.5 weeks, we have, we have 6 games. A left winger would have been an important signing. Waiting until deadline day may have been. This is exactly my thought process. Is like, why do we leave it to the last minute? And actually, I am getting a bit annoyed because I'm like, great, we got a 7 out of 10 window. Great, we got Kudus, Palhinha, Simmons, and Muani. And why are we then having to say actually our squad is 75% complete?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's probably loads of Spurs channels live now. Maybe I'm being too negative, right? And I was trying to big up Kolo Muani, and I do think it's an underrated deal. I think he could be quite good. I think Xavi Simmons is a fantastic signing. I really do. And I think Palhinha is what we've needed for a while in the number 6. And I think Kudus is fantastic on the right. Absolutely fantastic. And I think we're going to see a lot of Kudus, right, Frank? We're going to see him really be, a starter in this team, but probably one of our better players, probably almost turning into the poster guy of the club, which would be even funnier because of West Ham. But I mean, when you look at that and what I've just mentioned there, 3 or 4 great additions to the starting 11. But then you look at the bench, and we look at that bench on Saturday, Frank. You and I were both there, and we were discussing at half time who's going to come off the bench. And you think, right, let me look at that bench. We've got Odobert and Tell, who we're not sure are good enough to even play for Tottenham. We've got Ben Davies on the bench, who's been here 11 years. You've got, who else did we bring on? Bergvall, who I think's going to be very, very good and already had a really good season last year and was one of our best players of the year. But other than that, Frank, who else do we really have available on the bench that can make an impact? And that's why Spurs will always be behind, at the moment, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, as much as I hate to say it. Because you look at their bench, although we beat Man City, right, they bring on Phil Foden, Rodri, and Doku. Who are we bringing on, Frank? We're bringing on Odobert, Tell, and Solanke when he's fit. I mean, it's nuts, to be honest.
You look at Arsenal as well yesterday, right? And I realised that Max Dowman came on. He's obviously a bit of a superstar in the making, right? So to kind of take him out for a sec. But I'm talking, bear in mind, Saka wasn't there. Ødegaard wasn't obviously fit enough to start. He came on. Madueke started with, I think it was Gyökeres and Martinelli, right? Saka still got to come into that. Eze still got to come into that. Ødegaard still got to come into that, right? When these guys start, they're going to have a bench of players that consist of, Madueke and who cost them £50 million. Martinelli, who's a good enough player in the Premier League that can impact a game. Whoever else in midfield or whatever, right? So that's kind of my frustration with it. In a more positive note, though, to not talk about Arsenal for a minute. 2 things. Number one, Kolo Muani has just signed his Tottenham contract, according to Fabrizio Romano, which I feel like is a positive point to mention. Other than that, as well, according to Florian Plettenberg, Ademola Lookman to Bayern Munich is completely off. Unless it's an absolute panic buy from Tottenham now, I don't know why they wouldn't have gone for it already and got him already. I mean, I said it when I first started the stream that it wouldn't be the greatest shock to me in the world if at 6 o'clock a story broke and we end up getting Lookman. I think it would make some form of sense because I think they can get him. They'll think they can get him easily. But yeah, I mean, as of right now, I think we're in a position where we're looking like he's probably going to be done for Tottenham.
Yep. 48 minutes to go, and I just wanted to bring up this comment from Laurie Cook. Big up, Laurie. Thank you for joining, mate. Appreciate it. How on earth can you say you're disappointed? Some people never happy. Listen, Laurie, if you watched our channel, we're actually probably one of the most positive Spurs channels out there. I'm actually frustrated in the sense that we have done a 7 out of 10 window. And by the way, guys, I've just put a poll in the chat. If you could all vote on what you think the window is out of 10, because I think it's a 7 out of 10, right? But I'm happy with the window, but I could be absolutely buzzing with the window if we'd assigned a left winger, because all I'm going to hear all year when Johnson doesn't score is Johnson is limited, he's not good enough. And I agree with that. And I think Johnson should almost be playing in the second striker role when we need to change things up. But what I don't understand is why, if we've been focusing on a left winger with Savinho in this window, why we haven't actually gone and got the left winger. Get Lookman in, and suddenly it's a 9 out of 10 window, and we're all buzzing. Lookman has scored ridiculous amount of goals and assists in his last 3 seasons at Atalanta. You'll get the he's not Prem proven point, but actually out there at the moment in the limited market that we've got now, considering it's deadline day, you would actually expect that Lookman would add great quality to Tottenham and would probably be a very, very good addition in that starting 11. For me, that's why I'm a bit frustrated, because it could have been so much better. But guys, let me know what you think. Let's have a look how that poll's doing so far. 6 out of 10 or less for 39% of you so far. Only 10% of you have gone with a 9 out of 10. 8 out of 10 of you, 19% of you have gone out with 8 out of 10, and 31% agree with me on a 7 out of 10. Anyway, just quickly, Matt Law saying that we weren't in the window for any signings today at 9 a.m. was good, wasn't it? Because, I mean, he was wrong yet again. Thanks for commenting on Tottenham again, Matt Law. Maybe stick to Chelsea next time, because you were wrong yet again. Just quickly, I want to bring up the, what's his name? Plettenberg, or Plettigol, everyone calls him, right? Plettigol, that's it. Florian Plettenberg. He's the guy that got absolutely rinsed with the Harry Kane stuff. But he's saying that Ademola Lookman will not join Bayern Munich. Let me just screen share that to you. Here we go. Get rid of that sponsorship. We are not sponsored by that brand there. But anyway, Ademola Lookman will not join Bayern Munich. Deal off. And apparently, as we had from other sources, he could be on his way to Galatasaray. But why have Tottenham not gone in for him? That would be my question here. But anyway, Laurie, I hope that does make sense, mate. I'm not saying I'm disappointed with the window. I'm saying it should have been better. Guys, before we do carry on, I want you to do me a couple of big favours, please. We have been live. Well, I say we. Frank has been live, bless him, for 2 hours, 42 minutes. I've only been here for an hour, so my shift is very limited compared to his, especially being on other channels. But 180 of you on YouTube, 5,500 of you have tuned in on Twitter at some point or are watching now. And on Facebook, there's a few of you as well. Please do me 3 massive favours. If you're on those other channels, not YouTube, get over to YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube now, smash the subscribe button down below. Hit the like button for me, guys. We are on the way to 200 likes now. I think we're on 162. So please hit the like button. It's free to do so. And turn on those notification bells and ring them in the chat, because we're going to be doing live videos and offline videos every single day. So you'll never miss when they come up. And I'd love for you guys to be there when the notification pings. You come over and you give your thoughts on that talking point. It's a great way of creating a community. You guys can chat amongst yourselves. I know you've already been chatting amongst yourselves. I mean, Rich having a laugh with Richard, like, for example, like it's great to see. So please do me a massive favor and turn on the noti bells. And if you've turned on the notification bells, put in the chat right now a little noti. Just put noti, N-O-T-I. Let me know if you got your noti bells on. But the other thing I want you to do, as I said, is vote on this poll. And Frank, so far there's 50 votes. The majority have gone 7 out of 10 window. The second highest is 6 out of 10. And then we've got 8% with 9 out of 10 and 19% with 8 out of 10. So I think very much everyone's in the same camp. 6 out of 10 window, 7 out of 10 window. Is that fair to say, Frank? Do you think, as I was saying earlier, we should have signed a left winger and a backup defender?
I mean, listen, it's a really bizarre situation because it's so it's not just as binary as, oh, we've made 5 signings and they're all... The whole window has been very bizarre in terms of, you go right back to the start, right? We win in Bilbao, 21st of May, brilliant. They sack Ange, I think it was, I want to say it was the 6th of June or 7th of June, right? That weekend. They sack Ange. Here you go. So they take 2 weeks pretty much deciding that part. They then hire Thomas Frank a week later. They then spend 2 weeks deciding whether he likes his players, 2.5 weeks before that. Then they get Kudus in. Then Gibbs White happens. Then Romero's staying, apparently. So then in those 3 days, rumours about Ben Jacobs came on, and then there was rumours that, we were being taken over and we're all up here and everything's great. And then obviously Gibbs White took 2.5, 3 weeks. And that slowed everything down. Then the Eze thing with Savinho. And because of the narrative and the media, as I say, I don't know how close we ever were to Eze, right? I saw an interview from Andrew Mensah, who's a comedian and the cousin of Eze. And he gave the impression that we were never close. We were never once close to him, right? But the media portrayed that. And I'm not saying that we...
Who's that, sorry? Who's that?
Andrew Mensah, who is a comedian, and he's Eze.
No, sorry, close to who? Close to who?
Eze.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying that we weren't, because I imagine we were there or thereabouts, right? But I don't know how close we ever really were. I don't. What was it that it was near enough signed, and then they came in, or was it that we had a few? Were they going for Simmons at the same time? We'll never know, right? Because these are the things we'll never know. But because of the narrative we've been fed by the media, the window does look worse. I do think we are a bit short, but the players we've brought in, the caliber of player we've brought in, for me, has gone up a level compared to other windows. We've signed Kolo Muani, Palhinha, Kudus, and Xavi Simons, who are all experienced players. I know they're young, and this is, I know Thingy's young, Xavi Simons and Kudus, whatever. But this is what Ange said. Ange said it back just after Bilbao. I think he said it in that interview. He said in the next season that Spurs have to sign players that are experienced at that level, not necessarily by age, which they have done with Palhinha, but also by how much football they've played. Xavi Simons has played it at some level in Spain, some level in France, some level, obviously, at the Bundesliga in Germany and in the Champions League, right? Kolo Muani's played in three different domestic leagues and the Champions League and the World Cup. And this is the sort of experience he means, the guys that know what it's like to be at the top level. And we have brought in 4 of them. Tell, who's also played in the Champions League and experienced being a big club. So 5, if you want to count him. So I would say, as much as we have been left short, the quality of the players we've brought in is very high. And so I think a 6 or a 7, a push, an 8 out of 10 is probably quite a fair way of probably analysing the summer. And plus as well, Romero and Jed Spence both signed new contracts. Thomas Frank is arguably the best coup of the lot. It's been a summer of change, but a summer of quite positive change on the whole, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. There's a good point about the contracts as well. I didn't really think about that, but I guess when you're judging a window, you don't talk about contract renewals as well necessarily. But if you're going to include that, yeah, fair enough. Spence and Romero. Romero was as good as a signing, yeah. At the end of the day in June, we thought he may be off to Atletico Madrid, and those things kind of calmed down. But I do get your point. I've seen a lot of chat in the live chat today about Brennan Johnson and how we're now concerned about him at the left wing. I think for me, I was saying, Frank, while you went off for a minute, I think he's a second striker or someone that can come off the bench and you can play 2 up front with Solanke and him, or Richarlison in him, or Muani in him, and create crosses where he's going to run to the back stick and try and tap them in, which is what he was good at doing under Ange. I don't think he's a left winger that's going to be able to take on his man. He's going to be able to threaten, fullbacks in games. Every time he got the ball on Saturday, I've got to be honest, he had a stinker. And I've defended him a lot on Twitter, but he did have a stinker on Saturday. And you think when he gets the ball, you're never confident he's going to be able to turn, swivel, and beat his man. If we know that's not what he's good at, that for me is why I'm frustrated as to why we didn't get a left winger. Guys, let me know if you agree with that. But give me a 1 if you think that Brennan Johnson shouldn't be our starting left winger and it should be more of an impact player. and come off the bench and try and score goals from there as a second striker. Or give me a number 2 if you think actually Brennan Johnson will hit the ground running in the left wing position, because I think we're going to have to mix it up. I think we're going to see maybe Xavi Simons come in on the left, because I think clearly maybe Daniel Levy and Johan Lange have said, look, we're not going to get a left winger in now. Use Xavi Simons on the left, maybe Kudus centrally, and then maybe someone else on the right. Maybe you put an Odebear on the right, for example. I think they've got to mix things up, and I think they've got to do something for the next game. I mean, in terms of the next game in general, they've really got to change their tactics against Bournemouth. It was so wrong. I mean, playing Bentancur and Palhinha in the middle in that game was completely incorrect, and they should have mixed things up at half time. But guys, put a 1 in the chat if you, like Rich, if you agree with me on Brennan Johnson, and give me your thoughts on him as a player in this Tottenham team. But Frank, we've got about 37 minutes till the window ends, and I haven't seen much more come in from a Tottenham perspective.
I was just thinking as a point, and it's obviously not going to happen. This is complete coping, whatever. But could you imagine, like, do you remember last year when we all woke up and Odegaard was just a Spurs player and there'd been no rumours whatsoever? Could you imagine if at like 10-7 or whatever tonight they announce Kolo Muani and they've got him in the thing, and then all of a sudden they post another thing, and it's like, oh wait, what's that, or something, and then they just announce Adam Lookman at 7:00. Could you imagine, like, if they've just gone over every in the nose head over maybe the 7.5 hours of streaming today is getting to me, but could you imagine the the hype and the excitement if they'd gone over Ornstein, Fabrizio Romero, a lot of them's head, and they just gone, here's Lookman at 7:00, and everything we've said in the last hour will be completely irrelevant because we'll be so excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm coping, but
I mean, I'm scrambling around to try and find any sort of sources. That's the thing, guys. We're trying to also bring you the very latest from all the major sources. You know, I'm even refreshing my feed with Plettigold, trying to see if he's going to drop anything. I mean, it's got crazy. The last David Ornstein bomber was around Donnarumma, and that's actually that he's set to complete his signing of Donnarumma, Manchester City, with Ederson moving to Fenerbahce. And also about Mark Guehi, apparently there is some issues and that move is in jeopardy. But I don't know. I don't see anything else happening with Tottenham. Guys, let us know, actually, within the chat now. Every single one of you guys watching. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that's it. If you think we're not signing any more players. Or give me a 2 if you think there's going to be a last-minute deal that suddenly comes through that we weren't expecting. But I think very much the fact that everything has quietened down since Kolo Muani, here we go, Frank. I think we're probably done for the day potentially, but we'll have to see. Palushi's saying he's gone 1. Average Mirage fan also doesn't think that there's going to be any more signings, and Ange Ball also thinks perhaps no more signings. David Clarkson here saying Johnson isn't and never will be a winger, but sorry, mix it up is crazy. We're a professional football club, not a Parks club. Says Bob Steve hasn't turned up. Can you play as winger? It's ludicrous. Listen, I get your point. I'm saying we have to mix it up because we can't just keep playing Brennan Johnson on the left. I don't think that's going to be substantial going forward and you know, and good enough. Frank deserves 2 lollipops. I don't know if you mean Thomas Frank or Frank Thomas.
I think that came from that one.
He's been on stream for about 8 hours today. No wonder he's knackered. Chandy saying last minute bomb will be announced. Ben Davies extended his contract. Oh dear, we are in the depths of despair, as you might say. I wanted to bring up Frank, if you can, and while you're doing it, if you can bring up a little board, because I want to discuss how Kolo Muani fits in to this team, and you know, does he go straight into the starting 11 up front instead of Richarlison? Because that's another point. Guys, does Kolo Muani go straight up front? Because now we've got, when Solanke's back, if he is out for a couple more months, then it's between Kolo Muani and Richarlison. But does Kolo Muani start over Richarlison straight away, or do you think he has to work his way into this team? Because that's another point, Frank. I don't think it's absolutely, you know, clear here who's going to start. I really am not sure. Before we bring up your tactics board, Frank, because I'm sure everyone's going to enjoy this segment as well. And guys, we've been live for 3 hours now. I say we. Frank's been live for 3 hours, but we've been live on this channel for 3 hours. 5,700 of you have tuned in on Twitter, Facebook, and are currently watching on YouTube. Please do me a massive favor. I haven't plugged it for a little while. Please, please, please hit the like button. How many likes are we on now? 173. Let's get that over to 200. Please, guys, that would be great. Turn on the notification bell if you would also do that, because you never miss a live stream, you never miss a video. We're going to probably do a video again tomorrow or a live stream just because the window's over. That doesn't mean we finish, guys. We're going to be with you every single day. And make sure, of course, you're subscribed to Spurs Related. I believe we are on the way to our next milestone of 4.4K, and we're currently on 4.35. So we need 50 subscribers. So from the 150 of you still on YouTube, can you all please subscribe and get us over the line? But Frank, I'm going to add you to stage if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Goodness knows what's going on with the adverts. If you want to scroll up slightly, there we go.
Go.
But let's see how Kolo Muani fits in. So assuming he comes in at the striker, and I can see already you put the new signings in green, which makes it even more idiot-proof for people like me. Xavi Simons in the 10, Kudus on the right, Palhinha playing the double pivot with Benton Kerr.
Oh, good Lord. Sorry.
What's going on there? HSBC. I mean, if you want to sponsor us,
second.
HSBC, let us know. Nicholas Christel saying should have got Garnacho. Oh, that could be a talking point in itself, honestly. Jess is saying OF Johnson. And Richard saying 1. But we'll try again with Frank. There we go. That looks good.
Yeah, good. Cool.
So Frank, how do you think Kolo Muani fits into this side? And do you think that front four now, I still have my reservations about Johnson starting on the left. How do you think this is going to now work with him, mate?
So, I mean, there's a few different things, right? I don't think he's going to come straight into this straight away for context. I think that my money will be on Richarlison starts against West Ham. Obviously, we don't know how long Dom Solanke's out for. He's just put something on Instagram, actually. I've just seen he's in the gym at Spurs, which is very good sign. If they've posted a picture.
Bring that up. Is it a video or is it a photo?
Just a photo of him in the gym at Spurs. But then that begs the question why they've signed a striker then. I don't really get what the plan has been today. But, you know, so maybe that means I could use Kolo Muani on the left, but then I don't really get that either. So I think if Solanke is not fully fit, which I mean that photo suggests differently, if he's not fully fit, then I think Richarlison will start against West Ham, and I think but I think Kolo Muani will come into this as a number 9, right? So what he does that the others don't do, he's a bit more like Solanke. I was speaking to Ash Matic earlier on as Spurs Teams TV on Last Word on Spurs, and we were kind of speaking. He was mentioning how he's quite like Solanke in that he runs into the channels a lot, right? So he's a proper runner into these areas here, a little bit like Ekatike is. He pops up in these sorts of areas really often, which obviously allows the chance for your Simmons and Johnson and Kudus to make runs into the area and run into that sort of open space. So he does that really well, which is obviously something that Thomas Frank will like because he's a runner. Sorry, there's a comment. I did think that myself, that I thought his leg did look very skinny for.
I just quickly, I haven't seen it yet, but let's not be fooled because sometimes angles can make.
Yes.
Like I remember there was a picture of Bale, and it looked like when he was returning from injury 3 years ago that he had no muscle in his left leg, and it turned out it was just the angle. So,
but yeah, so that's. He's a runner, right? So Thomas Frank will love that because he works hard. He's a runner into the channels. He chases things down. He's a monster in that respect. So he's very much like Dominic Solanke in that respect, that he runs into the channels, chases things down, picks up the ball and whatever, and brings others into the game, which we've seen with Solanke. He's very good at. I mean, the most noticeable one was the Pedro Porro little flick backheel goal against Frankfurt, which Solanke chased down into the corner, done unbelievably well, gave it to James Maddison, who put in a nice ball, and Porro scored. So that came from that running into the channel, I think down here, and into this channel, right? Whatever. So you see that. So that's one thing. Another thing that having him does is it means that teams cannot play as high, right? So we saw, say this is the Bournemouth back line. We saw the Bournemouth back line almost taking shape like here the other day. And at times, by the way, the fullbacks were so high. Trufer and Smith, and then subsequently James Hill when he came off injured, Smith were very high. Mainly Trufer, right? So I'll chuck him in there. But at times that was almost becoming a back three. They were coming across. This is quite a common thing you see in the league now. That Thomas Frank does it. It's quite common. And Trufer was almost building up as part of an attacking line. And what Kolo Muani does is he means you can't play as high because he's so explosive. And with someone like Xavi Simons who will play good balls through and over the top, he will burn you for pace, right? He'll burn you for pace, for power. And that's something that Solanke and Richarlison don't have in their locker. So that's great, right? That pushes any team a few yards back, right? And so then if you're pushing teams back, you're giving Xavi Simons the ball and you're giving Kudus the ball, right? And Johnson a little bit less so, but Johnson the ball as well in more dangerous areas, closer to goal. I mean, it's quite simple. It's quite simple sort of stuff. I mean, we spoke about with Arne Slot and how, the idea of Arne Slot's football is to give the ball to Mo Salah or give the ball to the most dangerous players in the most dangerous areas and not concede any chances. And it's pretty simple, right? They've conceded a few more so far this season, but it's pretty simple, the general consensus of what they're trying to do. You give the best players the ball in the best places. And that's what this is, right? And Kolo Muani pushes you back and Kudus pushes you back because they're so quick. And I think that's what having that pace does. And so you've then got Xavi Simons can get into these sort of pockets and things and whatever. So that's good. And also he's big enough, Kolo Muani, and strong enough that he can hold defenders off. So he can play with his back to goal, as you see the other two do. Richarlison probably less so, and to a lesser quality than Solanke. Solanke would probably have been good, I think, against Bournemouth the other day. I kind of mentioned it in a video that I've got coming out soon that often, because of the Bournemouth press, so often they were, let's say they were the attackers. Don't worry about the names, but say they were the attackers. Often they were going long. Van der Ven was, and Senesi and Diakate, who are the two centre halves, were just bullying Richarlison off the ball. He was falling over. He was crumbling down. He was kind of redundant up front, right? He was pretty inept in what he was doing, and that's not me coming from a perspective where I'm criticising Richarlison. It's just the performance that I watched and what I noticed, right? And those two centre backs had a field day with him, and having someone like Kolo Muani who's a little bit more like Solanke, he's probably got that upper body strength. He can hold that ball up. He can bring it down. He's good in the air. He will be more of a menace to defenders, right? He's more of a handful, and so yeah. I think all in all, I think the signing now makes sense. I'm starting to understand it a lot more. I'm starting to come round to it a lot more, and I think it's one that we're probably. I don't know if we'll really realise until he gets going how good of a deal this could be at 5 million euros.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. 5 million euros for it. It's not much of a risk, really. You got to say, it may be a panic, but I don't think we can be angry. It can't be like, like Matthias Tell, 45 million permanent. At the end of the day, it's not much of a risk, is it? So, well broken down, mate. The only thing I'd ask you is, how do you think this works with maybe Bergvall coming in instead of Bentancur, perhaps, and then Palhinha comes in deep. Bergvall almost plays as the more advanced 8. And then could you even have Xavi Simons on the left, maybe? I'm just trying to mix things up. You could just swap Xavi and Johnson there and then maybe put in a Kudus centrally and maybe you could play an Odobert. I'm just trying to think of other options.
I mean, you certainly could, right? So what I think about Bergvall is he's obviously probably a little bit more forward thinking than Bentancur. He's more likely to probably go on runs and drive you forward, and it goes both ways, right? If you're playing I used Bournemouth at home the other day as an example, right? You're playing Bournemouth at home and you line up with this side. This goes two ways. The first way is that you push them back because you've got more threat up top, so you push them back because they are fearful of that, especially with a Kolo Muani type up front who's quicker and whatever. Then you've got Paulinho who can sit and your fullbacks can join in or whatever, and they can come inside and do this. But if you've got Paulinho, he can just sit, right? He can sit in that role, fine. And Bergvall gives him a little bit of freedom. Obviously, I haven't got the full midfield of the other team, but it gives Bergvall a little bit of freedom. On the flip side of that, you could argue that it makes the team actually come out a little bit more if you play a Bergvall there. And don't be wrong, he's not defensively stupid, but you could argue that Bournemouth might actually sit there and go, well, they've only really got one holding midfielder. We can get at this team. And then if you try that with Mohamed Kudus and with Kolo Muani and with Xavi Simons, these are players that are going to hurt you on the counter-attack. And Johnson as well. And I'm not going to leave Johnson out. We saw it against Burnley, the third goal, and City, the first goal. Those four, and Solanke or whoever, on the counter-attack are going to hurt you. And so in certain games, when you've got a lot of the ball at home, playing a Lucas Bergvall probably benefits you far more. And that's why the other day the choice was wrong, because with Bentancur, they still think it's probably enough that they can go at you. But because we have Pape Sarr in this area here and Richarlison here, Bournemouth knew all day long that Spurs couldn't hurt them that much. They knew that they weren't going to be deadly. If they kept Kudus quiet, they weren't going to be deadly. Now you look at it and you go, well, Kolo Muani's a handful. Kudus is a handful. Xavi Simons is obviously an elegant player that's going to skip round you and create chances. And Johnson will improve playing with these qualities of players, by the way. With Xavi Simons next to him and Kudus around him and whatever, and Johnson will improve. I don't think having Jed Spence behind him helps. I'm quite adamant of that. But he will improve. He will improve because naturally he'll have more runs to run, more balls to run onto, more chances, more everything, right? And that will be a result of having Xavi Simons next to him and Kolo Muani who's running more. And Richarlison wasn't keeping the ball the other day. And I know there was a love affair with Richarlison very quickly and it's kind of stopped a little bit. But I think that
come on. It's one game. Everyone, that's the problem. Everyone goes nuts because of one game. I mean, like if we're saying Richarlison's now back to what he was, that means we can say that same about all of them other than
I think it's probably the equivalent of saying Richarlison is better than what he ever was because he scored twice against Burnley. Yeah. I think it does go both ways. I get the point. And I'm not listen, he might shut me up and go on a run. I would suspect I would be a very, very, very shocked man if Richarlison was to hit 15 league goals this season. Very, very shocked. And that's just a personal and I'm not saying Kolo Muani's going to start instantly, and I think Richarlison for now is the striker. But I do see a world where Kolo Muani is such a handful that in certain games is going to be such a viable option. Xavi Simons behind him, and I mean these three in the green are so built on Xavi Simons playing balls through to him, and the other two built on pace and power, and Johnson as well can sort of break through and on the counter. That I think this has a really sort of exciting dynamic about it that I'm starting to quite like.
Absolutely. Lynch is saying, can Richie go on the left? It's a good question. Angeball's saying, I warn people that we wouldn't replace our Sonny and that 20 goals and assists is going to be hard to find. Do you know what, Angeball? The thing that really has annoyed me is the fact that, for me, Lookman would have completed this window, other than maybe a backup centre-back. For me, Lookman would have been a perfect way of getting some goals back. Maybe Kolo Muani's going to step up and get some of those goals that we really are going to lack. But I don't know. The more I think about this window now, Frank, I'm just starting to think, is it even a 7 out of 10? I don't know. This is just the Spurs brain in me. I'm thinking, if we go on a bad run after the international break, say we lose at West Ham, say we lose at Brighton, and then I can't remember what our next home game is. I know we've got a Champions League game as well. Say we drop 6 points from 9, right? Are we suddenly going to go, we should have signed a backup centre-back. We should have signed a left winger. I think there is that excuse now, and their board are under threat again because you could argue that we haven't been properly backed, but
100%.
it's annoying because it's closer. It's closer and closer and it's closer. But for me, Savinho was the one, or Lookman was the one that we should have got. It's probably Savinho at the best, and then the second best option was Lookman. And I just think the fact that we're now going into the season and we've got this board up and we're thinking, can Richarlison go on the left? Can Johnson play the left? Can Tell do a job? Why are we having to ask these questions? We don't ask the question about our right back because we know Porro's pretty solid, although he had an absolute shocker against Bournemouth. But then you've got Spencer to back up. Left back, you've got Udogie and Spence can also play there. Centre backs, okay, maybe we're a bit lacking on the left centre back, but when Dragusin comes back, you've got Danzo as well. You've got Romero and Van der Ven as our starters, and Ben Davies is the worst case scenario. In goal, Vicario and Kinski, pretty happy with that. Palhinha and Bentancur, Bergvall, Sarr, good options in the middle now. Right wing, just let me finish. Right wing, Kudus, great. If he gets injured, then you're looking at Odobert, then you're looking at Johnson. 10, Xavi, Simmons, fantastic. Kulusevski will hopefully come back in the new year. Left wing and striker are the ones where I'm not sure. Kolo Muani comes into the striker fold now, but I think it's so clear and obvious that left wing thing hasn't been addressed. And the fact that we knew they're still in the market is a problem. TTFS, Tottenham toxic fans. Do you know what? I don't care. If you think I'm toxic, you haven't watched this channel enough. I am very positive. I'm just a bit frustrated that we haven't completed the window. I think it's a 7 out of 10. But sorry, Frank, go on.
Sorry. I was just going to add to you when you say about the defence. I think that's another thing people have forgotten about. We have 3 fullbacks. We have and I know we said about the left-sided centre half, and we have a 48-game season. And we're talking about Destiny Udogie, who has a historically bad injury record since he's been at Tottenham, who's only just come back from injury now, has played 20 minutes back from another injury. And we're putting it all on these 3 to play this. Play the
right.
Rest
one gets injured, we're playing them every game, aren't we?
Yeah, and if all of a sudden you lose Spence or Porro, they're the ones. If you lose Spence or Porro, you're forcing Udogie to play every game and every minute.
That's why Ake would have been a good signing, because he would have covered left centre back and left back.
Sorry, just while I've seen it come up as well. According to Dean Jones and a couple of the in the knows I've seen have kind of agreed with it.
Agreed with what?
Tottenham are set to walk away with a potential deal to sign Adebayo Lookman. Atalanta are willing to settle forward for £43 million, but will not agree to Spurs' demands to sign the player on an initial loan with an option to buy. The club have prioritised signing a centre forward in Kolo Muani instead.
Deary me. Anyway, let's keep this positive.
Yeah,
I'm going to keep it real as well. Let's go back to the chat. Anything on Lookman, says Saddam on Facebook. That was your update there. Angebal saying I completely agree. I've told people for seasons that Richie isn't Prem fit. He was running in quicksand on Saturday. Listen, mate, he did have a shocker. He didn't seem to be able to knock the ball down like he was doing against Man City and Burnley. Well, he didn't have a good game. He had a good game against PSG. He had a good game against City. He had a pretty good game against, obviously a very good game against Burnley with the goals. But Saturday wasn't great. Enoch should be called edging, says Mirage. Member comment, always bring these ones up first. Jack saying we are fed lines from the clubs that we are in for Savinho, and then the end result is we literally don't sign a left winger. They set expectations high and ultimately don't deliver. Levy talks big and delivers in medium. Lynch says that's all, folks. And good window and exciting team. LA Spurs, mate. Honestly, I'm happy you think it's better than what I do. I was buzzing. I was absolutely buzzing when we were signing Xavi Simmons, and I'm thinking we have now a week, or what was it? When did we sign Xavi Simmons, Frank?
It was Friday. It got announced.
Friday. So I was thinking, look, we've got 3-4 days now to get 2 more over the line, and we only managed to get 1 more. And I think if we'd have got that 1 more at left wing and maybe that backup left centre back, I think we'd be in a very different position. Aziz Ndai, great name. Ndai would have been a good signing. Says, Lookman, please. And best signing in the window is Frank's new mic. Love it, Jack. Ben Davies Bomber, new left back signing. crumbs. And Lynch says 6 out of 10 window after coming 17th. Teams above us have had 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. When you say teams above us, you mean every single team other than 3, Lynch, just to point that one out. But how long have we got, Frank? We need that little countdown up, don't we?
13 minutes.
How many?
13, 12 and a bit.
12 and a half minutes to go, guys. We will go on to the deadline just in case something does happen, of course. But just to sort of summarize the window for those of you that are just joining. Obviously today we had Kolo Muani come into Tottenham on a here we go, according to Fabrizio Romano, and we are just around waiting for his announcement. I'm sure will come tonight. I'm sure the social media team are currently working on an edit of him in a Tottenham shirt, and probably a few interviews will come out. But that was revealed at around lunchtime, and we're thinking, look, this could be a 9 out of 10 window. We could go and get a left winger and a backup centre back, but not much happened since that. And Sammy Mockbell of the BBC said Tottenham are looking to sign a centre back before the deadline day, and it just didn't come. It did not come. 12 and a half minutes to sell Solomon. But then we had Solanke, apparently had an injection in his ankle, and to settle it down, and will be assessed over the international break. But the 27-year-old is not expected to be out for a lengthy period of time, according to Tom Alnett. So hopefully it's just a few weeks. And then, of course, we haven't had the here we go, I believe, yet, Frank, have we? But Bryan Gil to Girona is very much on, according to Matteo Moretto, for €7 million, which isn't bad. And then Crystal Palace have registered an interest in Manor Solomon, and that Gary Jacob has reported that, Palace have been in talks, but obviously with how bad the talks went with Eze and Steve Parish, that wasn't very good at all. So maybe, we may slam the door and say, actually, we'll keep Solomon. I mean, is there an argument here, Frank, actually, that Solomon hasn't really had a chance to integrate into our first team and even get a chance under Thomas Frank?
I mean, you could argue there is, but if Thomas Frank's made his mind up that he doesn't want him, then it's a bit of a pointless conversation. Because if Thomas Frank thinks that he's not to the standard of that, then it's almost pointless using him. Do you know what I mean? That I think my money would be is that he will probably go, whether he goes to Turkey or Saudi Arabia or something, or somewhere, maybe not Saudi Arabia, but somewhere instead, would be my guess. So I think Turkey's probably a little bit more likely. But I'm not sure. I think obviously the windows stay open for a little while. Another one as well that I really forgot about, and I know we spoke about a lot for about 3 weeks, is El Kanous went nowhere, which I find incredible.
Still at Leicester.
What's that? Benfica have a plane waiting for Manor Solomon, according to Rudy Galletti. Let me have a look.
Interesting.
Have a look.
Interesting. While you're doing that, I am going to just quickly have a look at the poll I've got on my screen that I put up onto the Spurs-related YouTube live chat. And it was, what would you rate the window currently out of 10? 6% gave it a 9 out of 10. 23% of you gave it an 8 out of 10. And then the vast majority of 41% gave it a 7 out of 10, which is what I would give it. And then 30% of you actually think 6 out of 10 or less. Guys, if you rated it a 6 out of 10 or less, please explain to me what you think we should have done before that window shuts.
Sorry, just a few comments. El Kanous went to Stuttgart. Really? Wow. That feels... Yeah, he did. I didn't see that. I was on loan.
Was that here we go?
No, it's just done. They announced it.
All right. Well, so none of I didn't see Fabrizio doing many updates
on that. Wow. Very, very bizarre.
Lookman to Galatasaray is confirmed according to Lee J. Is it really?
I haven't seen anything yet, but I'm looking. Fenerbahce has now contacted Lookman.
Thanks, Jack, for saying that El Kanous went to Stuttgart, same as you, Mirage. This isn't a failed strategy. It's the complete absence of an opportunistic signing, for sure. And Richard saying, just get it done. Levy, for me, the learn from the window is stop leaving things to the last minute. Stop messing around with players for weeks on end with Morgan Gibbs-White taking 4 weeks and falling through, with Eze taking 2 weeks and falling through, with who else falling through recently? Savinho, I say falling through, but we were so adamant we were going to get him, talking to his camp for ages, talking to City. It didn't happen. I think we need to be moving on, and I think some of that is on Johan Langer, some of that is on Levy, and some of that is on the staff that are all part of that. Paratici probably as well. You need to be coming in for these players, getting a firm yes or no within a couple of days, and moving on to the next best option. And I feel like Kolo Muani is going to get called a panic buy if he doesn't hit the ground running, because it's easy to say, you know, Musa Sissoko, we had that in 2020, or might have even been 17, 18, when we signed him on deadline day, and he didn't really do too well for a lot of his Spurs career. And he got called a panic buy. And unfortunately, Kolo Muani is going to get called a panic buy because we only started getting linked with him last night, mate. So if he doesn't do well, that is what we are going to have, unfortunately. I also, Tottenham's Trev's football talk, I can't see anything about Lookman to Galatasaray, especially from the big sort of journalists. Ange Ball saying I gave it a 7, but realistically probably more like a 6.75, very specific. 1 year loan with an obligation to buy. Lee J, please say which source you're talking about, because I haven't seen Fabrizio, David Ornstein, or Ben Jacobs tweet about Lookman. Shandy's saying reason I gave, but big up Shandy, you've been in here since I joined. Reason I gave it a 6 out of 10 is the lack of strategy. Great additions, sure, but in comparison to how other teams have done, we are still lacking and we're looking foolish. Do you think, Frank, that because so many teams like Liverpool, City, Arsenal have done big business, Chelsea, done big business, maybe that's also why we're underwhelmed? Because overall, this window's been pretty decent. But because we haven't done as much as these teams, we're falling behind again. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, me and Billy T had a really good conversation about it, actually, and how the gap between Tottenham are in a unique position, right? And the gap between Tottenham and the rest of the Premier League, forget the top 6 clubs, I'm talking below whatever the other 14. That gap has the potential to really grow, because Tottenham are in a good enough position that they can spend more than Bournemouth can, for example, right? Or these clubs can. As great as these guys are doing, that Tottenham are in a more fruitful position that they can push on. So that gap can increase. But whilst that gap increases that much, the gap between Tottenham and the other top 5 or top 4 is growing, you know, exponentially, and that's a problem. So, I mean, yeah, I do think those lot buying a lot is probably making it more negative. I also think there was a comment, I think it was this one, that they had 70 million apparently on deadline day to go and spend on Mark Gahey. That didn't happen. Fine, it's a bit of a we tried gimmick, but it's okay. This summer they were 3 weeks ago apparently going to buy. They wanted both Eze and Savinho. I mean, Fabrizio Romero put out millions of tweets about the same thing, going, it's both of them. It's both of them. They want both. It's not just one. I have no problem they got Xavi Simons. I think Xavi Simons is a top player, and that's great. And he was obviously a bit cheaper than Eze, and fine. But then Kolo Muani cost 5 million. I have no issue with that either. But where's the other 70 million gone, or whatever the figure is that we're talking? You know, there was 70 million in January that went missing. There's another 70 million now that's gone missing, that apparently we were going to spend according to the media. And yeah, this is the thing. Like that. Yeah, I mean, they were rumours we were linking Savinho at 80 million euros, Eze at 70 million quid, and our biggest signing this summer was 55 million. I mean, they're great signings, and I'm not disregarding the signings whatsoever, but I am questioning why they've not spent a little bit more money than what they have spent. And I think sadly, as you know, there's a couple of the comments are saying that I think sadly it is. I think we've been played in certain points, you know, and as much as the window's been positive, does it ever change? I guess is the kind of the running theme.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Good point from Jack, one of our new members. Thanks again, Jack, for the membership, mate. If you guys want to become a member, down below, it's in the description. You can come on any show you want with us, unless it's like a video we're recording offline and have your say at certain segments. So, Jack, if you want to come on the stream, let me know in the chat, mate. We're going to be ending up ours in a few minutes, but yeah, if you want to come and join, become a member down below, guys. It's £2 a month, and yeah, we really appreciate the support. And guys, also really appreciate all the kind generosity earlier from AFK with his great profile picture, and also Jack becoming a member today. So please do support the channel if you can. But the three things, as I said, guys, Frank has been live for 3.5 hours. The least we can do is smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. They're both down below and they're free. And the third one is the notification bell. All three are free to do so. We are 15 likes from 200, and it's been an absolute marathon for Frank. I'm pretty sure he's been streaming for around 8 hours total today. So please, please, please subscribe down below. Please like the video. We're nearly there at deadline day. We're nearly there. We're 3 minutes away. But until we get there, we're not ending the stream yet. So if you guys could do me a favor, like the stream, subscribe if you are new, and hit the notification bell, because we are going to be going live every single day pretty much, or at least doing a video every single day. So when it happens, you will never miss the video. And the other thing I wanted to do is also give Frank's new channel a shout out. It's the very least we can do for Frank and the guys that are still in here. I think there's 100 of you still on YouTube. There's so many of you on Twitter. Please, please, please go and subscribe to Frank's channel. I've just popped it in the description. Frank, what have you got coming up, mate? Tomorrow, you said?
Yeah, either tomorrow or Wednesday. I'm not sure which day yet. I might let the transfer window die down a little bit. But yeah, tomorrow or Wednesday, I've got a 20-odd minute sort of analysis on Bournemouth, the Bournemouth game coming out. And I'm going to try and do that sort of before and after every sort of game that we have coming up. So yeah, a lot of content certainly after the international break, but this is a first, so it'd be very much appreciated if it was shown some love.
Guys, please go and do that. That is the least you can do for me. Even if you haven't liked the stream, we should do, and you should be subscribing to Spurs Related. But if you haven't done any of them and you're not going to do that for some reason, I'm sure you all are, because you're all absolute legends watching. Please go and subscribe to Frank. I'll put it in the description in the live chat about 6 times. So please go and click on that. Give Frank some more subscribers for his first video drop, and that would be greatly appreciated. But DFST, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And Richard said 100% James. Frank, we are in seconds left of the window. I very much doubt we are going to be getting anything else done. And I think it's a countdown. I think it's a matter of a countdown on
10 seconds. You don't get one like that on Sky Sports, do you?
Yeah, I mean, that is like default central. But guys, that is transfer window closed for another summer. Deadline day has been hit. The deadline is done. We're not linked with any more players. And I guess now it's a case of doing a quick review of what we have done this window. So, breaking it down for you. Firstly, let me know in the chat what you would rate out of 10. If you're watching on repeat, do the same. What out of 10 will you give the window? I'm sticking with my 7, Frank. Just very quickly, what are you going for?
Yeah, I think no. I'll go the 6.5. I'll go with 6.5.
6.5. While I'm bringing up the summary, just explain your 6.5 for me, and then I'll bring up the all the breakdown of our window.
I think the quality of the players we brought in has been very good. That they only spent 167.8. I've got the number here, 167.8. They only earned 26. Obviously, a few players could still go, and I imagine that number will probably hit close to 40. But the outgoings was pretty poor. Sorry, it's more than that because it doesn't include Pierre Højbjerg. So we're already at about 40 million brought in. So I imagine that number will probably hit 50 odd. So I would like them to, yeah, I mean, that's probably good. I think Basuma's obviously still here, Gil's still here, Solomon's still here. And at the start of the window, I was saying that Richarlison probably should go. I understand that he's staying, that's fine. 167 million spent. it's not bad. It's kind of normal Tottenham sort of numbers. I think if you really want to compete, you've probably got to be looking at spending 200 plus. And I think we were still left a little bit short. That's also, may I add, including Danso, who was an obligation. Obviously, was agreed in January, so a little bit to include it. Obviously, 50 million of that we had already last season. So 107 million spent on brand new faces this summer. You could argue, you could argue it's pretty poor. Sorry, I wasn't even sort of concentrating that comment there. 168 if you include the Danso and Tell, which took up 51.6 million of that.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. If you want to break it down, this is without Kolo Muani, but 175 million euros net spend incomings, 35 million in outgoings. If we break that down a little bit further, we have Xavi Simons in for 65 million euros, Kudus in for 63.8 million euros. We then had Tell for 35 million euros on a permanent, Kevin Danso on a 25 million after a loan yesterday. Luka Vuskovic, 11 million. Obviously from we bought him as a 16-year-old, didn't we? Kota Takai with 5.8 million euros. Then the loan fee for Paulinho. We're going to also have a loan fee for Muani. And then these are apparently the incomings from the end of loan. But obviously we know that most of these are actually going. And if we break that down further, got Heung-min Son left for 22 million euros to LAFC. We had Pierre-Emile Højbjerg leave for 13.5 to Marseille. And we had Mikey Moore going on a loan to Rangers, Vuskovic on a loan to Hamburg, Devine on a loan to Preston, Min Hyuk Yang to Portsmouth on a loan, Villies on loan to Rosario Central. I believe there's an option to buy there with Villies. Could be wrong. Frank, maybe you'll correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, sorry, you're on mute. That was me that did that because that's my bad.
Apologies. Yeah, I do not know is the honest answer. I'd guess there's probably something in there for 5 million or something, but I don't know.
Got it. And then Reguilon got put on a free agent as a free agent. Contract ran out. Same as Forster. Same as Alfie Whiteman. And then that's about it. Obviously Werner as well. End of his loan with Leipzig. So that's sort of the breakdown with Kolo Muani as well in the fold. I'm just double checking my phone to make sure nothing else has come through. It looks like that's it. One more random deal of the day. Strasbourg have just signed Ben Chilwell on a 2-year deal. I don't think it gets more random than that.
They've just sold them to themselves, haven't they? Todd Bowley owns the both of them.
Marco Asensio's move to Fenerbahce from PSG is now confirmed. I think that's another one we could have maybe got in, but maybe you guys don't agree. But anyway, I'm just going to catch up on the chat and then we will wrap things up because let's be honest, there's not much more to go through here. But Richard said he's sub to your channel, guys. Make sure you're subscribing to Frank's channel. Mate. As I said, Jack saying, do you think Tottenham could surprise us with a buy option for Kolo Muani when they announce it? Apparently, there is an option, but it's not mandatory, is what I believe is the case. Is that right, Frank?
Fabrizio Romano said there was, and then he took that out of the tweet. So right. I don't really know. My guess is that if he's good enough next summer, they'll agree a deal next summer. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe it doesn't have to be an actual written-in option, but they'll work something out.
Sure. Andrew Paul saying the crazy thing is we won't be a better player than Lookman available in a year. There is now. I just can't see it, but we'll see. I don't think it's going to happen. Hill was sold. I think it's not confirmed yet, but I believe he's going to Girona for 7 million euros. Here we go, as per this from Mate Moretto. Andrew Ball saying, this saving money for a rainy day, Levy. Snake salesman, smoke and mirrors, lack of real ambition. Now was the time to strike with our easy Champions League draw. I mean, we should really be doing pretty well with that Champions League draw. 40 million, enough for Lewis. Yacht fuel for another year, says Richard. Chicken Plop, love the name, mate. Welcome to the Spurs Relatables. He said, not sure if this adds up, guys. You need to look at the previous seasons too. Some seasons we barely spent, plus the Kane money. We should have spent more, you're right. We cannot be spending this. Is why it's never going to be more than a 7 out of 10 window. And to finalise, Jessica's saying, it's pretty poor planning, to be honest. We will regret no centre mid as Basuma. Sorry, I'm going to stop my screen share because it looks like I'm lagging. Yes. Whoa, hang on a sec. Sorry. There we go. Jessica saying it's pretty poor planning. To be honest, we will regret no centre mid as Basuma and Sarr not here mid December and to January. Poor left wing options, poor centre back and full back options. Whoa, that was nearly a 4-hour stream. Guys, if you did enjoy the stream, and massive shout out to Frank again, please do go and check him out. I'm going to put his link in the description once more. Please go and subscribe to Frank, guys. Please do me 3 other favors as well as subscribing to Frank. Hit the like button, free to do so. Turn the notification bells, free to do so. Give me a little ring, and subscribe if you're new. We are on our way to 4,400 subscribers. The support has been crazy. We've been gaining about 50 to 100 subscribers a day. I've really enjoyed interacting with you guys. I'm sure Frank feels the exact same. So please keep on giving us the support, despite it being the end of the transfer window. We are going to bring you content every single day without fail. We are sure we will do it, whether it's a 10-minute video, whether it's a 2-hour stream. We will do it for you. Make sure you're liking, make sure you're subscribing, make sure you're turning on the notification bell, make sure you're supporting Frank's channel. And if you can, please become a member to come on the shows. It's £2 a month. It's in the description below. There's a join button as well. And throw in your super chats. Very kind again today from AFK, who gave us around about 2 different super chats, and Jack becoming a new member. So really appreciate all the new members, all the new super chats. And guys, it's been absolutely smashing. Frank, any concluding thoughts, mate? Because you've been the man of the deadline day.
I want to go to bed. I think
that's mate, you're going to go and eat and do what you're doing tonight. You deserve a beer, that's for sure. But guys, as I said, like, subscribe, note your bells on, subscribe to Frank, and we'll be back again very soon for another, I was going to say transfer update, but another Spurs video. And remember, as always, come on, you Spurs! Come on!